It's good, isn't it? Welcome back to the Rainbow Six Charlotte Major. Is everybody having a good time? We're obviously 2 quarterfinals down. We're very imminently about to get into the third, but before we do, I keep talking about the fact that it's been over 2 years since we have had Live Siege. It's been 825 days since we've all been together in a setting like this. So as much as it, of course, is about the players, it's about the trophy, it's, of course, about you guys, too. So I thought it'd be rude to maybe not come out into the crowd live on the show and talk to a few of you guys. What do you think? Does anybody want to have a chat? Yeah? I didn't realize how high this was. Okay, safety first, right? Before I do anything, 1 second, guy. Here we go. Here it comes. Awkward pause. All right, let's meet some fans, right? Let's go. Oh, look at that for service. All right, first things first, I'm going to take a seat right here. Hello, sir. What's your name?
Josh.
Josh. Where are you from?
Swainsboro, Georgia.
How long was your journey here?
I'm sorry?
How long was your journey to be here today?
About 3.5 hours.
Not too bad. Who are you supporting? Who's your team?
I don't have a team. I'm just happy to be here.
Front and center. You got a good seat. It's good stuff. Thank you very much. All right, let's just go over briefly to these guys, right? Where's my guy? Here he is. This guy right here. What's your name?
Gabriel.
Gabriel. Who's your team?
Well, my team's out of the bracket, but my team for this game is OXG.
Oh. My man's writing down his predictions. Does anybody agree? Does anybody go BDS?
Nah, definitely OXG.
You say that again louder.
BDS, baby.
BDS, baby! Is everybody having a good time though, yeah? Yes, sir. All right, good stuff. All right, we're gonna move into this section right here. Am I able to go a little bit deeper into the crowd? Okay, second row, here, right here. Okay, bring it in. What's your name?
I'm John.
John, how's it going?
Oh, it's great. My voice is shot.
Is it really? Is it nice to be screaming at the top of your lungs for the first time in over 2 years?
Oh, absolutely.
Who's your team?
Well, my team is SSG, but they're not here today, so my money's on OXG.
You feeling good about OXG? Give me a prediction right now.
I say all 3 maps, but OXG takes it.
Okay, cool. Right, I'm going to go back on the stage, right? Just before we do. Everyone behind me, this is going to be a cool shot, all right? Make some noise! All right, I should probably get back up there and do my job. Thank you very much, guys. Before we do anything else, let's meet the first team. They're breathing easy, coming undefeated from the groups. These guys are high on momentum. Give it up for Oxygen! And their opponents. They go big for a crowd. and they have traveled more than 4,000 miles to hear you roar. Give it up for BDS! This one should be an absolute banger, but first, let's get the fist bumps going. Come on, guys, Oxygen, come on over here. I'm speaking to the team behind the scenes, all of our analysts and casters. Have this one marked down to be an absolute barn burner. We're ready, the teams are ready, the crowd is ready. Let's preview this one a little bit further on our illustrious desk with Doa and the gang.
My team and I are pretty confident facing off against BDS. We haven't played them in a long time, so I'm looking forward to actually winning against them this time.
So we are facing Oxygen for the first match of the playoffs. We are feeling confident. We'll prepare the game and just play.
Our strategy will just, make them mess up and make them make the mistake.
Oxygen, we are ready for this, and we are coming for you.
I think Shaiko's overrated, so I plan to make him look terrible in our game. Nobody in North America is scared of him, and we're going to put you on fraud watch.
Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, it's already getting spicy, getting ready for this next one. Foxa calling the fraud watch on Shaiko. I don't know, man, that's a dangerous game you're playing, but this series is going to be great, isn't it? Obviously, a lot of us here in NA very familiar with Oxygen, #1 in NAL, playing so well. BDS on the other side, a fearsome force from France, right? I mean, crisp execution, very strong team play. Fresh, tell us all about him.
Oh, I mean, BDS are the, Caliber Jacob, BDS takes it, right? Everyone's had this whole thing, this whole kind of want of BDS to win an event, expectation of BDS to win an event, probably the past 2 years. In terms of this team is just that good.
Sure.
However, Six Invitational, obviously they had to play with a coach, they fell off. They fell off mentally hard at that event. They didn't really recover it through EUL. The first 3-4 play days of EUL, they didn't look good. They didn't look like they would be here. They had to rally hard to make it here. And then even in the kind of group stage of this event, they still haven't shown their full potential. And I don't know if that suits BDS or not, because they've come into tournaments expected to win them. Absolutely nobody's talking about BDS right now. The pressure is off, and I think that's where they will play their most dangerous siege.
BDS may be the best European team to ever play and never win international competition. This is a squad that has been around for so long, and they've basically been at the top their entire existence since they formed their roster back in, I want to say, 2019. This is a team that you always expect to do well, but they just can't seem to get it over the finish line, whether it's mental problems or people not being able to play for the whole tournament, whatever it might be. It never seems to click for BDS.
I mean, at the end of the day, you've got #1 NA versus #2 EU. Like, it doesn't get much tighter as far as the success these teams have had recently in their regions. So it's pretty hype. But let's dive into the BDS side of things even more. Obviously, Shaiko, a player to watch, probably the player to watch on this squad. But what else do they got, Fred?
I mean, Shaiko's got the mechanical skill. I know that Fox mentioned he was going on fraud watch. I don't think it'll be that simple, because he, most of the time, he's just better. Mechanically, he is better. He pre-aims everything, pre-fires everything, and he can turn around on its head just like that. Click of his fingers, bang, bang, bang. He's got 4 kills, and suddenly BDS have won the round. But around him, he's got a team that is very solid, a team that doesn't make mistakes, a team that's fine to, it's really hard to find free kills on them. They don't often stray out of position, they don't do anything that they shouldn't be doing inside of a round, and therefore that, when they're playing their best siege, you just can't get anywhere near them on the server.
I think from like an outsider's point of view, looking at BDS, the one other player other than Shaiko that stands out is Bride.
Yeah.
Bride is the definition of a perfect support player. He's the guy you point to when you want to see a really strong support player that can run around and get the kit down, but also get into the bomb site first, get aggressive, make that space to get the plant down. And he's been very, very good for BDS in the past. I think if there's anything I'm worried about, it's probably more their defenses. I feel like in this meta, against strong attackers, you really have to get mobile and give yourself an advantage. And BDS, from what I've seen in these group stages, have been very hesitant to get active on the defense. If we don't see some big roam plays, this might be a tough game for them.
And is that what it is then? Is it going to be the roam plays that are what's necessary for BDS to kind of get the advantage? Like, stylistically, what do they have at their disposal to be able to take down Oxygen? Because Oxygen kind of has looked like the total package lately.
It's probably that they've not adjusted as quickly to attack a repick as other teams have.
Yeah.
In that a lot of their defense is focused around power positions and focused around the fact that the attackers had to just bring a cover-all kind of approach. Whereas now attackers can repick into the exact utility they need, which forces, as you say, a lot of teams to get out on the roam, to get a little bit fraggy. And BDS have had trouble dealing with that, certainly inside of kind of EU. Well, they're getting better and better, of course, but I think that's one thing, as you say, that they need to do. That will be a key win condition for them today.
Yeah, and the numbers line up with that. 61% attacking win rate throughout the group stage of this major. That's the second highest at this event, just a few fractions of a percent below DarkZero. Their defense, 51%. Dead average. Not great, not amazing, but certainly they're around there. It's not bad, but you want to see something better from a team that should be contenders to get to the grand finals. We're watching Shaiko here, and I know that Fox might want to put him on Fraud Watch, but he really is a player that can bring it all, and he's known to be one of the best gunners, if not the best gunner in all of EU. He's going to be going head-to-head, very likely, against Newers. These are two players that have been crushing it this event on attack, on the Finca. And if I'm Fox, I'm watching what I'm saying, because in my opinion,
Doesn't sound like it.
of those players, I think Shaiko's been the more consistent.
I feel like Fox is trying to force confidence in his teammates that they can deal with Shaiko, rather than really believing what he's saying. And I know that, the BDS, I was speaking to the BDS staff the other day, and they said, we've got two approaches. We've got Shaiko go kill, and we've got Bride go clutch. If neither of those work, then we don't know what to do.
I mean, it's been pretty consistent so far. I mean, look at the stats for Shaiko, though. I mean, like a plus 25 kill death spread, like that is pretty amazing. That definitely ranks up with some of the best players in the region, obviously. And talking about the matchup between him and Newers, that is really kind of the big question, right? Because Newers is this sort of, as we move over to start to talk about Oxygen a little bit more now, Newers is going to be a big focus there too. Obviously, I talked about this team being the total package. Newers is a player that came right out of Tier 3, right? Jumped right into NAL. He's 18 years old. He's got all this skill. He's got all this kind of like raw power. And it's been refined a bit over the first stage in NAL, no doubt about that. But there's still that little bit of, maybe nervousness being in front of a crowd, a little bit of inconsistency here and there. The polish isn't quite finished yet. It's going to have to be good today for sure.
Listen, when Oxygen picked up Newers, there were a lot of people that weren't sure about it. They didn't really know who this guy was. Some people knew, okay, this is a fragger, but they weren't really sure how he was going to do in Tier 1. One person that never doubted him, though, was himself. Any interview you read with Newers, he will tell you he's the best. He will tell you there's a reason he didn't have to play in Challenge League, because he's better than all these fools playing down in Tier 2, and he will show it in the server. His entry play for Oxygen throughout Stage 1 and throughout the bracket throughout the group so far has been phenomenal. He fills that role, the classic frag-heavy 18-year-old entry fragger, the one we know and love, the one that makes the flashy plays. That's who he is. But despite the confidence, there's definitely been a couple of games this season where he's not shown up. You look towards the end of the NAL Stage 1, and there were a good couple of games in there that he just did not seem to enter the server. Fox has talked in interviews as well about how he's had to kind of, get him into the game mentally, really hype him up, because they know that Newers is a good player. He's just got to be on 100%.
And I think that's the big question, because their group, they were in a pretty poor group. Let's be fair. Oxygen have gotten through, not because I don't think they would have gotten through in any other group. They probably would have, but they were handed a group with 3 teams with some weaker teams in that group. So he's had a good way to settle himself in. The next challenge now for Newers is to get out here, get in front of the crowd, get on the stage, get against quality opposition, by the way, and prove it on this stage.
Yeah, Oxygen's team stats overall is insane. They've got the best defensive win rate in the tournament, best opening pick stat, best conversion. That is a dangerous combination. But you're right, the opponents they played in the group stage are arguably, and I would say objectively, worse than some of the other teams that we saw in the groups. But that doesn't take away from how strong we saw OXG be. And coming into this battle, the conversion rate is something that both these teams do very well. They're number 1 and number 2 in the tournament, 83 from Oxygen, 81 from BDS. That means that whoever gets that opening pick is going to have a 4 out of 5 chance at a minimum to win that round. It's going to be extremely important who gets the entry.
Absolutely, and you know what? We've talked about the players, we talked about the teams. Now it's time to talk about the arenas in which they will do battle. The map picks and bans are in. Theme park and border out of the way right away.
Not surprised, both teams getting rid of the other team's best, or one of the best maps.
Fair
BDS,
enough.
I would say they've got 3 amazing maps that they want to get on. That is Border Club and Sky. The same with Oxygen. I see them wanting to get onto Theme Club and Oregon. So I would say we're going to see Club, definitely. So we're going to get rid of those 2 maps, Chalet and Cafe going along. So it looks like we're going to get rid of the other team's best map as an approach for both of these teams, and then let them pick their second best map. So I would not be surprised if we saw a Sky pick coming out here from BDS. They've liked it. They did look a little bit wobbly. They had a bit of a questionable game against Team Secret on it, I'm not going to lie, in EUL. But they do like the map. And then equally so, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw an Oregon, and there it is. So teams are going for the nice map, and both teams in their top 3 maps have Clubhouse. So I'm stealing this away from you, Jesse, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it as our decider.
No, I agree. Club, Villa, and Bank, the last 3 remainder maps, there's no way Oxygen take it to Bank. So there it is, Clubhouse coming forward. Both these teams very strong on an Oxygen, a 4-game win streak. They were here in some close games in groups. They did beat out Mirage Nexa in the NAL. I would say it's Oxygen's strongest map, just looking at the records. This is a very good one for them, but you're right, BDS answering the 4-game win streak with a 3-game win streak of their own, and BDS undefeated on Clubhouse since the year started, finding win over Pones and G2 in the EUL, and then an extremely tight 8-7 game against the Wolves here in Charlotte.
All right, well, one more thing remains before we get into this series, and that is to see what the predictions are for our desk, for our casters, for the coin that's not been doing too well today, but it's a substitute coin, so give it a break. It's only got 2 sides. Anyway, predictions. It's time. We have one EU. We have one NA. We'll go to you first, Jesse. What's it going to be?
Come on. This should be Oxygen's game for sure. Before this tournament even started, I picked OXG as the winners of the entire event. They played phenomenally through groups, regardless of the opponents they faced against. They were flawless. I have to go with Oxygen once again. I see a lot of pink on the leaderboard there for BDS, but for me, it's always going to be Oxygen, and I can't go any other way.
All right, well, that means we just have our, EU representative here. Fresh, are you ready to make your decision?
Oh, I might need some time to think about this one. I know I'll put BDS up there.
Be careful.
I'm going to need some time, so I'm going to come back to you actually after we've done the coin flip, Doa. What I will say is this is a very evenly matched best of 3. Regardless of who wins or loses this could well go all the way. These are 2 teams that are, getting to the top of their game, hitting the form at the right time for this tournament.
But I insist. So let's hear it right now. What's it going to be? Careful, though.
It's a potentially bad take.
Don't do it.
Oh,
Fresh,
All
please
right.
don't.
I'm in an NA crowd,
Hold
and
on.
I just
Fresh,
Wait,
if you're
wait a
gonna
second.
make this take, we
Okay.
gotta prep you. We gotta make sure
prepared for
you're
this.
safe.
Hold on.
Please take
no,
this.
this.
Yeah.
Put this on
Is
for
this-
safety.
Okay.
Yeah.
This
We
is
have
your
some
safety
cones
jacket.
to keep people away.
I'm not going to be able to
They're
get
back
this
there,
on.
but don't.
This is
don't
gonna
worry
be
about
very dangerous for you
protect
if you
you from-
want to actually say this.
Them out there.
Oh, I
Are
can't
you
get it
okay?
on.
You can't get it on.
There we go.
I
It's
told
on.
you with
It's
the
on.
jacket. There you go.
Okay, and one last thing. Hold this. Okay,
Shall
go
I show the
ahead.
crowd?
He's ready.
Bad take.
He's ready.
Just so you know.
I'm going to look right down the camera. BDS takes it.
It's okay. It's okay. He's got his safety equipment on.
I'm not
I'm
going
in
to
a
stop
safe
the crowd.
zone
I
here.
can't. Yeah. Might need to move these cones in a little bit. I need a tighter perimeter.
Do you not want to be near
perhaps.
me? Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
All right. Well, let's flip the coin. See what the inanimate object has to say. It's going to be. I go by the top team in the bracket graphic is heads. The bottom team is tails. That would make Oxygen heads, and it would make BDS tails. The coin's picked tails twice so far today. Let's see what it's going to do this time. I heard tails from the audience. Okay, what is it going to be? It is tails again. The coin just loves tails today. It just loves to make the wrong choice, I guess. It's going to be BDS as the choice of the coin. Yep, 3rd time's the charm. I don't know.
that.
I don't know. You know, NA bias. I don't know if I want that. But enough from me. Let's send it over to our casters, Hap and Fluke, to call the action.
Thank you very much, Desk, and good afternoon, Charlotte. Here we find ourselves OXG versus BDS. Oh, this is going to be a good one.
This is definitely going to be a good one, but I just have one question. Is there any EU fans out here? What about NA? All right! I think the tone is set.
I think there's a little bit of bias.
I think there's a little bit of bias.
We're here as neutral people here to maybe watch the last EU team fall, or maybe another NA. It is anybody's game to take. OXG, obviously, they have not been, in some words, truly tested yet. They will be here.
They definitely will be indeed. They, you know, we heard it coming in from the desk a little bit. They had a bit of an easier group, possibly. Of course, one dropping out as well. BDS had to fight through, but this is where it all comes down. This is where eliminations start to come through for either of these two teams. It's a best of 3. You can afford to lose one map, but nothing more.
Skyscraper. Have you been practicing your calls?
I've been practicing my calls.
You don't see it often. We have barely seen it this tournament. We haven't seen it from OXG over the past 3 months. We've seen it twice from BDS, for context. 1 win, 1 loss.
Now I've been playing a lot of Rengoku, actually. That definitely does help with the call-outs there. But as the Maverick gets taken out first, a little bit of a hit taken on the Heart Breach department. We'll see later how that exactly will affect the map and the takes for the attack as a result.
Oh, this is fun. It's been 2 years. 2 years of us being locked in very small rooms and enjoying such a big space with such a huge amount of community. And most of them are seemingly gathered on the side, bothering Pengu. He's not even getting close to them. I think he's on the phone to somebody. I'm ruining his signing over there. Kai is gone. Thatcher as well. You're getting a standard set of removals here. It's Skyscraper. It's still getting its face. It's still getting itself tested. People are developing ways, which is kind of why I'm super excited to see it in the showdown, because you only really get 2 tastes of a map. The first is when it's played in its league. You get how it goes against the region's meta, how it plays against the scene. And the second is when you do this. You get full bold and bring it onto the biggest stage there is. Barbecue Kitchen, the hungriest site in all of Siege, is where we're going to start ourselves off here with OXG leading in on a defense. And as they said before, what was it, an 80% rate?
Yeah, something like that on the, possibly. It's going to be an interesting one for sure, though. The stats might be a little bit skewed, of course. Group stage is coming in. Everything will be different now. And within a couple of seconds, we will be headed into the action phase, and we will see who will be coming out on top here as we start out on that bottom floor. The barbecue and the kitchen. Now, there's multiple ways to go at it, but what we do often see is that the geisha is of utmost importance. That will normally be taken by the attackers as well. There is that verticality that just covers up the kitchen. That is so important for that attack.
Now, it's a quick change of an attacker repick here for the side of BDS. And obviously, they talked about it on the desk, but there's going to be a lot of eyes between Nuez and Shaiko. Both big Finker players, both having fantastic seasons so far, but you've also got to look at how it brings into the grander scheme of things, because throughout the NAL season, whether he was finding his feet or not, he was the lowest rated player for OXG. He's come into this tournament, he's had an absolute storm across the board, and there's something about the energy here, whether it's just getting into your first major, the adverse effect that others otherwise don't always suffer. Fox tries to find an early pick there out the window, can't quite get the connection, gonna head his way back upstairs, and as he said before, it's important real estate to hold on to.
You want to try with some, to start off with some fire there, right? If he was able to find that entry kill instantly, that round would have been completely different, but he tried. He unfortunately was unable to find anything, and as some quick drones coming around from BDS now up on that top floor up near the karaoke and tea room. Shako's well aware of the fact that someone's going to be out here now.
Well, he's going to try and apply some pressure over the side and the top. He's in a dangerous spot. We've seen swings on this side many, many times. Vert does everything he needs to stay a little bit happy and pretty over here. Anything to keep that shield as long as possible. It's a power position to hold, not really just to try and pick fights. You can get bold if you really want to, but at the same time, the main drive of it is to just sort of keep them at bay. Bit of a scrappy fight over the top, but they're able to just pull themselves back here. A minute gone, a shield as well. Vert, he's eyeing the idea of sticking around and singing a sweet song inside karaoke, but the pressure's coming in a little bit French.
Yeah, there's definitely some breaching charges being used from a blow. That's Rafal with a bit of a floor bang onto vertical. Opens it up for BDS, and let's see if they can elevate on the back of this one.
Well, now down into the main hallway, the Almost the catch on the Banshee, gets it the second time round. Concerned, but Rafal will be watching the rotate. Lems is able to find Dream as well. The pick right in the middle of T-Room, but he's tucked in. Do they know that he's sitting there in the gold corner? It could turn into a massive blow. He just sees a couple of traces that come through from the side. Swings back to see if he can get the pick onto Geisha. But again, it's this game of playing them at a bit of arm's length. This is important territory, but you don't want to die for it. And there he is. One more catch and one more close down from BDS.
Rhythm Nitro gets tossed up. He's not going to be able to find anything just yet, but as soon as the pressure onto Geisha starts coming through, you might be able to find one or two, and possibly even a diffuser, and that could save the route for Oxygen here, because a 5-on-2 is not looking too good, especially with them knocking onto the door of the barbecue now.
That's it. It's a lot of time here for OXG to see if they can hold off this, the French attack. They've got themselves stacked up all the way over the top floor. They're still formulating and building themselves around towards barbecue and sushi at this point. That entire restaurant is becoming their territory, but they still have time to drone. They still have time to try and apply some pressure onto the softs above. The C4's popped a little bit early, opens an angle, and he's got to make sure he has the caution to just avoid any of the hellfire coming down from above. 30 seconds, one more for Lems to find himself a double, and it is an opening flawless for BDS.
What a way to start it off on the stage here. Cool, calm, and collected on their side. They are an experienced roster, an experienced lineup. Never quite able to make it just to the end, however, though. They came into this tournament maybe not as favorites, but more as underdogs, BDS, and maybe that suits them. Who knows? We'll have to wait till we truly will find out. But as that first one heads their way, Karaoke and T, normally what we do see as a primary side, is going to be up next. So she might have been trying to go for a bit of a curveball there, hoping they would be able to throw BDS off guard. Unfortunately, that failed.
Attackers need to locate
OXG, bit of a false start there. I think it's the fairest way of putting it. They're going to head up to a site that most people are more familiar with as an early pick. You'll often see this top floor be the biggest stretch. It gives you the width, and it gives you the ability to play that fullback defense with a lot of the support of the structure, the hard walls, especially around the side of Dragon and over towards the mezzanine and drum. It's that little sort of blockade. It's where you tuck yourself in on the close corners, you play that shield game, but this time you'll at least have a lot more support coming through from the players. Maybe on the main stairs, maybe on the backside of Black, you have things, and things are very important in a game built on utility and takes especially as clean as BDS's first approach was.
And Montaigne is being brought out here by Rafal. That could be quite interesting. Now, we all know that, especially if you want to go for a take around the balcony onto the office, it could be quite important as a clash could be against you, but it's not the site we're playing at. So it's going to be good to see how they'll use that operator, use that big shield to try and shepherd out these players off Oxygen into vulnerable positions for the likes of Lems and Shaiko to pick them up.
Well, Rafal, where are you going? Because last time you were the first lead on this, but this time it's Noyes able to get the opener take here against Lems. There's a bit of a strike back and a return to force for a player that I think if you're an NA fan, you probably want to be leading this game with it. BDS on the back foot for the first time this showdown so far, early doors, but how are they going to build from behind it? Because the one big problem that you often have with this map is rotates around a top floor take are huge.
They definitely are. There is a lot of ways in, there's a lot of ways out, especially if you have no control of the mezzanine area. As an attacker, the defenders have free rotations all over the map. And with 2 minutes left on the clock now, Oak Street, they still have that man advantage. Some light reinforcements are being brought in, but Rafal with that shield is starting to come up the back stairs. He's hoping to push up with Shaiko on that LMG as cover over his shoulder.
Waiting patiently and just offering themselves a bit of that width I talked about before. You can see Rafal, he's getting clear-eyed down the hallway. They can see the site itself, but with all the stacked up players there of OXG, you're not really going to get any further. They still have the control over on the far side towards Dragon. They don't have to pull back if they want to. They know they have that sightline, an important one between the two doors. How are they going to find the first catch? They're almost on the wing of gold, but they can't quite get the pre-fire in the right angle. Lax, he's dancing this way and that way, and you've got the cover there of Noyes as well. Where can you go, BDS? Well, through there.
Danger coming in there from the side of Shaiko, eventually confirmed as well. T now a little bit clearer, but it's still on a Rooney that has just retaken that position. Shaiko finds out as the P10 Rooney sinks just ever so shortly, so they know there's someone else they need to deal with. However, still players around in the top of mezzanines that could be coming in for a big flank.
The smoke starts to pop there. Rafal's entrance is locked out, but you look at Brede on the far side of the window and you know what he can do. He's being watched by Geisha. It's a bit of a mess here and somebody's trying to find the end of the string to start pulling it. The grenade is the pin and it doesn't quite get finished finished off as they see the slip by, but they're still alive. Another canister. Looks like it was rolled and ready to go, but it's the grenade round to the tucked-in corner. Dream caught out there, and it's a bit of a blow, but 30 seconds. And you can see Oxygen. They still have the angle. They still have the rotate. Now they're going to see if they can get the plant through the smoke. Big one coming now from Laxing all the way underneath. He's not entirely contested. The C4's in the wrong place. Post-plant on the second round, and with a Monty on the board, well, it's a little bit of a problem.
It's definitely going to be an issue here. They need to find a way to get rid of the Montien of the remaining BDS players as well. Laxing coming up the back stairs, gets his first straight kill. Looking for a second, but the vertical finds that instead. Suddenly a 3-on-2, they're trying to bring it back, but the Monty is posing a bit of an issue here. It's only after a foul. Gets the 9 kill confirmed. It gets taken out by Foxay, and that means that the diffuser will be disabled, and Oxygen are going to be able to bring it back even.
A huge rotate there from Lax all the way up the back black stairs and made sure he made it count. When you have a Monty on the board in that sort of situation, oh, that is a tough mental game. That is such a sort of monolithic approach that you have to try and knock aside. And got to give credit to OXG. This is what they do best, which is this quick game, this sharp sort of multifaceted gunplay. Barbecue and Kitchen is where we're going to rotate our way back down to. They think they've warmed up enough to actually find something delicious here.
Now, it was a flawless round the last time we were here from BDS. That was, of course, round 1 not too long ago. So something does need to change completely on this side. They need to make sure they find those entries. They need to deny BDS of their quick entrances that they were able to find before. Some repicks are coming through. The Ging is out. So is the Thermite, and the Nash and the Hibana are bringing back in. And that is basically the exact same lineup we saw from BDS in that first round.
If it works, why change it? And that's kind of the BDS ethos. They sort of set themselves up on this pedestal of, well, we know what we do very well, and we're going to leave it to the others to try and knock us off. They are so, I don't want to use the word formulaic, but they have a formula. And if you can get to the end of it, some teams can find them kind of quickly pulled apart, but they still trust in the system, trust in the process. And to be fair, on a map like this, where OXG haven't really found a preference for it, this is the truest test. How much of this is your map, and where are you going, Newers?
He's looking for a rappel, possibly just that little sound that could lead him to an entry kill for Oxygen. He's waiting patiently, but they're not really entering from that area just yet, and I don't think it will come either. I think that he went for an attempt again, but BDS not really giving away anything here at the start of the round. With 2 minutes 30 on that clock, they're trying to put some vertical pressure up towards the dining area.
Now, Alems as a player is such a big part of BDS's approach, but he hasn't had a great tournament so far. Usually, on a big stage, you always hear him getting vocal, and, well, it's Newers that gets one, and there's the man I was talking about getting a bit of revenge. Renshiro follows it up once again. Dream removed by a well-played and placed grenade. It's Newers doing his best to try and fight back, stop the flow, and see if they can at least keep some control. Fox finds Shaiko on the other side of the map, and there's a bit of a slip back out there and towards Pantry, a moment to breathe. Can they find an isolated fight? No, is the answer.
One through the window, Foxay through the hatch, and able to find a connection to Rafal. Small amount of damage done, and as he decides to drop and head into the pantry, he's looking to play this more vertically. Takes a small amount of damage on the way out, however, as Laxing finds a lens, brings it back to a 2-on-2. The diffuser is cold on the ground, and with 90 seconds on that clock, BDS need to recover it, as Laxing finds a second and takes out Renshiro.
Lax had an idea, and he made sure it came together. Rafal, he's all that's left here on this Ash. The slow approach round the other side. There's the reveal and the pickup of the kit. He has a minute, and there's a man behind the bar. The only thing he's serving is pain. It's a 1 versus 1. Fox is on the second story. He's got all the vertical control right now, and Rafal is probably well aware, although he might be a little bit missed. There it is!
A couple of toe shots coming in. We saw a European League final being decided away like that. Well played there. They use that verticality, and that is why it's key. Just barely able to spot out Rafal there, but enough to find the kill eventually. And Oxygen leading 2-1. Find the win on Barbecue. The bedroom is up next. The bathroom is up next. We're not headed towards exhibition. We're headed towards the bedroom bottom floor instead.
I'm wondering if Rafal had a full sense of security there. Because, you know, as I said, he might have an idea that Fox is the vertical. That's where the kill came through from before. And he thought, well, I'll save it. Will I get shot? I didn't get shot. Maybe I can plant here. Oh, there's some feet.
The Woofy, always the giveaway, unfortunately, there. And as we see some frost mats to be set up, I'm wondering if those will be spotted out or will catch some French legs off guard as they will be trying to proceed towards the bomb site. Now again, top floor important here. Most likely we will see BDS try and go for a full clear out there, but it could be quite dangerous. And if there's too many players up top, they might decide to, you know what, it is time to just abandon that ID, overwhelm them on the site, and see if we can find success that way.
It's been a bit of a back and forth so far, which is kind of what you wanted from the series, with how these teams have got to this position, and with how, to be fair, they haven't been as smooth sailing as we often expect from these rosters. Okay, OXG, it's a fresh set. It is obviously two massive changes. You try and go back with statistics, and they're a little bit dirty by the fact that you're missing 2 players on any international stage, but then you also see the fact that they've only lost 1 map against any EU teams in international play in about 2.5 years to Rogue. So they're doing pretty good against our region, as much as it pains me to say. Let's see if they can keep that pain going. They've got the advantage for the first time. They're trying to find some pressure there through it, but it's Newers that finds the head of Shaiko.
It's the third entry for Newers there. He's definitely trying to make life difficult here for BDS. And again, they're on the back foot here. Now, Supreme fires their attempt to Byron Shiro, maybe to get a grenade around the corner in just a little bit. But there's 3 ADSs, I believe, set up on that window, so I doubt he's going to be finding too much success out there.
Well, the approach towards the site, the objective play is something that they love to drive themselves to. And as I said before, it's the formula. It's seeing if they can try and cook the pressure in. But when you're working with 1 less body, how can you bring that together? They almost did with the Monty push, apart from a fantastic retake. Here, OXG, they're making sure there's no ground. The play on the Bandit. Did it get the catch?
Yes,
he did. Just in the middle, across both. And that is, I mean, a Bandit trick.
And now the ADSs will have recharged as well. Another grenade is not going to be possible anytime soon, so they have to find a different way to get rid of these bandit wires or explore a different option altogether here. So Rafal knocking on the front door is going to be seeing someone sneak by. Newers finds another kill, gets punished however.
Well, they're just trying to charge their way into sight. Vertical is eating them up from the corner there. They still have the vertical control. Rafal once again. Well, I was going to say alone, but it wasn't for very long. Vert with a triple.
Well played by them there, and I said it before, BDS wants to get that top 4 control. They use their utility Emmy, but the bandit trick still out there, just having the confidence to get on it, to just put down that bandit wire again, because the ADSs would be recharging as there was 3 in that position. And Oxygen now leading 3-1 very comfortably here in a map that, over the 2 times it has been played over the majors so far, has a 40% defensive win rate.
Oh.
Now, the sample size, not too big, of course, it's just 2 plays, but Oxygen with that, statistically, doing very well here.
Are you running some wrestling numbers? Is that the 33 1/3% chance to win there? It's a team with an 80% defensive chance on a map with a 40% defensive win rate, currently sitting, well, with a chance at more than 50. They're doing very good, and, well, that's why we're here now. It bears repeating that this is BDS's map pick. This is where they wanted to bring the fight, and it was a mixed bag for them. Obviously, you've got a couple of bans by the time you get to this selection, but they expected it to go a lot better, and I guess when you're up against the expectations of only what you've heard a team does on scrims, because we haven't seen OXG play this map in comp, well, sometimes you get results like this, and they've got to see if they can try and get their heads back in the game and play the game that they know they can.
That's it, right. They need to go for that reset. That's where the tactical timeout came through. Have bias, give him an opportunity to talk to you. 45 seconds. See if that is going to be the change that you need over your game. Now, round 5, back towards the tea room and karaoke. This one did get quite a bit closer the last time around. The plant came off. It was a Monty on the board. However, they were able to clutch it out on the OXG side. Is that going to repeat itself?
Bit of an extension here, over to the opposite side of the map. As we said, the second story gives you that room for growth. It gives you a room for hold, and BDS tried to ignore it. They just tried to throw themselves through directly onto the side and find a plant on the corner there, and there's a bit of an opening, and there's a hope. Is this going to be a run-up? Is it going to be a C4? I mean, Fox is waiting.
They're definitely waiting for it. He's looking to go at it as well. Potentially just waiting for
it's a grenade.
It's a grenade coming indeed. He probably heard that pin going out because he pulls back. Nothing's being tossed just yet. Everybody keeps their life.
Everybody's aware of everybody, but nobody's 100% sure. I mean, There it is. Gets locked up. I think they knew that their number was cooked, so they're not going to see how they ended that. Fox, and Lax, they're going to try and pull themselves back towards maybe a little bit more of the safety of the site, but they've definitely drawn a huge focus here at BDS. As I said before, they went for a direct take onto the site. This time, 2 drones almost caught out. The second swings its way back round, pre-fires through softs, which is something that has already netted BDS a couple of kills here, and, well, they've still got the heart, so may as well get them down.
If it's safe, if you have the opportunity to. It was quite close, though, with Shaiko knocking on that door just on the other side of it. He's not going to be able to find anything here. Minute has passed, no one has died, and with that, we're still in a 5-on-5 situation here, where it seems like BDS wants to push through Dragon, through Terrace, look towards the drum area, and maybe go directly for the site itself.
That is usually quite a big power position in EU. That shield spot, which you'll probably see Ranchiro playing it on the defense there, just around the top on the swing onto gold, and the door of T in here. Well, NA's sort of giving a couple of questions, but they're not holding it. They're not being as aggressive in terms of utility. Instead, they're playing like this. Buried underneath, waiting to see if they can try and catch and spring a surprise trap. Just over a minute left and a couple of players still underneath. BDS, it's a slow approach. They're being overtly cautious. And whether it's because of the timeout, whether they just think they can try and pinch and pull an OXG player that's a bit loose and see if they can tame them, well, the answer there is no.
Well, there's only 60 seconds left, Emmy. They need to go quite explosive here. I think the T-room is the only way they can really go for a plan. So an entry is what BDS needs to find. And with the time slowly ticking down, Oxygen knows as well they can't just stay put. They can't just stay passively, because there's otherwise no way that BDS is going to be able to get a pick.
Concerned about the idea of a Vault cam, but you can see the pings come to the player down below. They know that Fox is there. Do they make the decision? Do we find the fight, or do we just try and fire our way through the site? There's Alems, finds that one. They have some control. Rafal quickly picks up a second here, and now they got some control. But you've got to look at where they are and where the site is, and Lax is. He stops Alems in his tracks. They're trying to drive the kick closer and closer, but as the wall gets caught, there's no trick in that. About 15 seconds left now. OXG, they're dodge diving and can't quite find any semblance of safety, but here, the blind over the side of gold. Nobody's connected apart from a trade-off on the back-end side. They're in! The kick's gold! Newers is doing everything to hold himself in the corner. Dream's still kicking. He's fine on the other side with the smoke canisters. A proverbial 1 versus 1. Dream, he can't get it. Rafal gets the connection.
BDS able to just pull that one off, and you know, it is literally just pulling that one off. There was about 30 seconds left when they went for that execute. The diffuser was even dropped on the way there with a smoke canister blocking it off. They needed to push aggressively, and it started planting with roughly 2-3 seconds left on the clock there. So BDS find their second round. Oxygen just not able to go for that fourth yet, but there is still an extra defensive round on the board, and guess what? We're going back to barbecue.
They're hungry.
I mean,
it's been a back and forth. It is. It's barbecue kitchen, sushi, restaurant. If anybody's hungry, it's around lunchtime. This is the site that gets you more focused on it. OXG, as we said, they've already done technically and statistically more than enough on their defense on this, which isn't their map. You're looking at this being at least good. Not great, though. And they're a team that's had these great statistics. They came in, as they said on the desk, the biggest question was their group a little bit too straightforward for them? Obviously, it was missing a team, and it was otherwise a clean sweep. They were going to be stressed and tested here by BDS, but they are a team that likes that. They love to lean in to the aggression. They're the reason that they're always here on this, the grandest stage.
Is BDS going to be able to put up a third round on the board, or will Oxygen find their fourth for the splits? That is going to be that big question for these next 3 minutes. Newers again is going to be attempting for a bit of a spawn peek here. Will he find his fourth of this matchup, the fourth entry kill? Someone did get quite close, but I believe they just ran away.
They're learning to have a little bit of a fear towards the young guns of NA, and yeah, you should. He's having a great statistical run there on the entry, as he said, 4 of them going into his favor, and from early strikes like that, you can see why it's so important. BDS having to try and rebuild with a man deficit over and over again. Okay, sure, they can have these conversations, but you're looking at Shaiko 1-4 being the top player. He is really missing a trick right now. The pressure down towards the shield once again, much quicker. Vert takes a bit of damage from the side of the explosives on the far side, and you can see OXG has pulled themselves back. They've gone back to a little bit more of a plan A. Rafal stacked up, but at this point, you can see OXG's learned. They've pulled away. They're not playing that position anymore.
Drone being set up, just ready to jump in, and Well, they hope to find some information. The question is, can they? Because BDS, again, a minute wasted, just knocking onto the sides of the building now, not really inside anywhere but the top of the back stairs here. Shaiko with the LMG will get some pings. He's unable to connect, but he's also aware of the fact that someone could be coming from below him, as a couple of shots do connect with him.
I mean, I love this from OXG. They're just biting, they're nipping at the heels in the approach, and BDS has to stop. They have to try and take count of where everybody is. The drones start rolling once again, but you can see all the 3 OXG players that were putting the pressure on have since moved off. Dream, he's watching the backside. They still have the long angle all the way from Geisha. He's a bit stuck here on the stairs, and OXG, well, they don't have to do anything. Right now, they can just let BDS keep hitting their heads against this hold, and there's only so much that you can do whilst you're trying to get some structure and drone it out, and Shaiko thinks he can do it down here.
Yeah, they just found out that the tea room is indeed empty. That means those 3 have moved off, and Shaiko looking to find an entry elsewhere. But pings are still coming in top floor, and that is where they need to find that kill. Lem's going quite aggressive here around the corner. He is hiding behind those boxes. Will he find him?
Huge bit of impact there to Shaiko on the backside. I think a C4 pop, but Alems, he's able to keep driving. The Finker is just boosting them, but now we're looking at about 40 seconds wasted in this engagement alone. Rafal, he suffers next in the fight. OXG still just keeping them at bay. That grenade rolls too deep. Fox, he's cool as ever as he sits and waits, but then finally Shaiko is able to find a connection, but only 30 seconds left. So much time wasted. Newers bites back, finishes off Rafal. Laxing is trying to get him from range. He's saying, I'm still up here, you got to deal with me, and there's people below too. And finds them through a couple of softs. Newers is off the board, but so is most of the time Renshiro. He gets one more, 2 versus 4, but Vertical is back serving it up over the split. 10 seconds left. They're going to see if they can try and stick it round on the far side. There's Vert going closer and closer here. You've suffered quite a lot. It's a 3 versus 1. It's just Dream. He's able to find the first here. He's looking for the kit. Alems is the connection.
Lem's able to lock it out there, and again, BDS left it too quite late. They left it to those very final couple seconds. They went for the diffuser. Fortunately for them, this time around, the cover in position to lock off those last members of Oxygen, but it seems like where Oxygen was going to be able to walk away with that round and that half early on, BDS is definitely starting to fight back here. We have an equal half, and we're looking up towards that second one with BDS down to the defense and Oxygen on the attack. Who can make the difference?
So the other half of this game is one where we really get a true taste of this map. As I said, it's a learning experience. You bring a fresh map from a pool, regardless of its history, it's fresh for now, into an international scene with different region teams. It's a learning experience. You're gonna find new things out and how they test each other, and the most notable is this. The starting site is one that was otherwise pretty much avoided by everything there from the side of NA, even if just taking it, but the holding of it as well. They had a bit of a gambit with it, but it becomes quite a big focus for EU teams.
Now, what I said there as well is if you play for Exhibition, it's something we saw occurring into APAC North first. The Clash coming out to play on that balcony just to be spotted almost permanently there. And it's also being brought out now. Rafal bringing that shield is going to be playing out on that balcony as well, just to make life difficult for OXG. Okay, bit of barbed wire there to slow them down as they come around the corner, but
just a little bit something extra.
That shield is going to be making a difference there.
Well, Rafal, as we said, the Clash, they're going to cause some problems. A second set of barbs on the VIP stairs, and now they'll find their way back through. The Clash shield, they're just going to be such a problem. It's going to be something where OXG, you got to either deal with it, or you got to try and find a plan B, because, well, he is happy to sit and wait. He has the cover. If he gets stunned, he can pull himself around the corner, and there's no way to get him from underneath. You got to be very clever with the approach here, or very costly. A massive battle for attrition can happen over that single corner based on a clever Clash and a huge amount of pocket utility.
And the Clash every now and then is showing herself out through this balcony. Now one person spots it out. They know that a bit of a push, a bit of a take is starting to come that direction. But did I see that well? Did they just open up the main wall on BDS's side from the Exhibition side? Are they going to be going aggressive through there?
Well, they have the air jab on the corner at this point. The Clash, they're held off. They're happy to sit and watch each other and see if they can try and get something to work. Vert, he's finding his way underneath the slow crawl. of the BDS players to see if they can get in position to maybe try and cause some drama, but you can see this is what I was talking about. OXG said, well, it's a huge dedication just to get that clash, just to get that corner and get that wall. Let's try and push somewhere else. The somewhere else currently has Shaiko sat on the stairs, being droned out and waiting for a little bit more pressure. Pulls himself back, but caught. The upside down rappel, as he said, that wall, yeah, it came in handy.
Yeah, they opened that one up. Nur is able to find his 4th entry kill of this game so far. He's on fire. And BDS now with a man down with 74 seconds left on that clock. Are they going to be able to hold off? Is Oxygen with this entry going to be able to snowball them onto the sides? Well, only time will tell as Foxe ascends the stairs.
Yeah, he's looking to see if anybody might drop the rotate. It is possible and plausible, but Alems, he's trying to keep a little bit more of a flat fight here to make sure they don't swing in. Renshiro and Bride and Alems across the board finds another one, but he can maybe get himself up. No, his stim was out of juice. It's now just Laxing. He's able to get a great take there onto Renshiro. 40 seconds left, and he spent most of the previous round staring at a clash. Oh, wait, she's still here. And in a 3 versus 1, oh, that's not the most comfortable.
It's definitely not going to be comfortable indeed, and especially without any extra air jabs or flashbangs left to play with. He jumps in and Bride finds the kill. They lock it up for BDS, and they take the lead again.
You're still looking at BDS trying to warm up, and that's the big worry, because if we're going to keep harping on about the comparisons between Newers and Shaiko, Newers keeps getting into this game, and sure, there's been a bit of a sort of death to most of the kills he's been able to take. He hasn't been able to have the cleanest route through as he has throughout the rest of the groups, but he's still causing an impact. Shaiko there, he's kind of forced into an uncomfortable situation. Instead of trying to maybe lean into the fight on the wall that was opened, whether he knew it or not, he misses the swing. He goes straight in, and it's just an easy pickup at that point for the Finker.
Now, a tactical timeout for Oxygen, because ever since BDS called theirs, they were able to find 3 in a row. Are they going to be looking to return that favor? Are they going to be looking to push themselves to 6 now? Big question left unanswered here. And there's only so much you can do within that time. So many pointers you can give, so many changes you can make. And as we look to head towards the next site, very soon, that BDS will bring. It is Oxygen that is focused. It is Oxygen that is having a bit of a talk right here. They want to be performing in front of their home crowd.
I mean, someone from NA's got it.
They definitely have to. They want to win this tournament. They want to do it in front of their home crowd. They want to hear those cheers just for them.
OXG. Conversation, will it lead to a little bit more success? As you said, it did for the French opponents here. BDS, okay, it's their map, and they've been able to bite their way back in, but I still think they haven't reached a pace they've been able to put before, and we know OXG can find another gear, and we know they like to do it at Majors as well. It's that potential drive here towards the side. The objective play, which is something that has been pretty good for them throughout this tournament so far. The new structure, which is obviously slightly different because of the roster changes to the last one they brought to the international stage. The risk here is you're up against one of the best objective teams in the world in BDS.
Yeah, for sure. And even though it didn't really show that much in their group stages, I mean, they had, I believe, 11 plans in, let me check how many rounds that was. I believe that was something over 20, 33 rounds, attacking rounds. That is. That's a 33% planned ratio. It is quite a bit, actually, for the side of BDS. Oxygen was a little bit lacking on the back of that.
Seems like a more direct entrance, and Rafal has a quick French exit there. He's able to get rid of Newers, and, well, it's one of the rare times that statistic has actually gone against him, but he's still trying to get engaged and still does a lot of damage towards Rafal. They've lost a lot of utility, though, and they've obviously lost a big player. As I said, he's still suffering with that even balance on it. So now it's up to the other guns of OXG, which have not quite been as locked in as his is, to see if they can try and bring it together. BDS did when they had lost an opening pick and found themselves finding out the round later on anyway, so it's down to see if NA can prove otherwise.
2 minutes on that clock, Emmy. BDS with a minute advantage here on that defense. We are headed towards the T room eventually. Renshiro is looking to have some cheeky peeks left and right.
Do they know?
That's the big question. Do they know? I mean, the drone is starting to come through. Have they spotted Rafal? I doubt they have.
Oh, he's waiting. He's waiting. He's heard. That one definitely did. Does he know how close they are? Well, you can see Lax is trying to find his way on the other side. The C4 doesn't get the catch, but Dream finds Shaiko in the meantime somewhere else on the site. Now Rafal gets dropped. He couldn't quite get any connection there. A very quick return from OXG. They pick up a 2, couple of bodies, and they still have so much time left. And last time they went for a very quick push onto the site and it all fell apart. Here, they now have that man advantage. They have a lot of work done underneath. They're paying keen attention towards the places and locations, and the 3 remaining BDS players, they pulled themselves up. They've got to see if they can try and find the route that OXG wants to take to the site.
60 seconds, someone spotted on the rappel there. Lambs, are you going to be able to find that kill? You spot out a player, but take some damage instead of dealing it here. He actually get killed. It's a 4-on-2. BDS, you might be giving away this round here. 48 seconds. It's Renshiro. It's Day. Are they going to be able to clutch this? Is Oxygen going to be able to equalize the score again?
A really curious misplay there, whether he thought he was more safe, but OXG leans into fights, and that's a lesson. If you're going to learn it, well, you just learn it the hard way. Day. He's got 30 seconds and a pocket full of smokes, and he wants to see if he can try and stop anything that comes through here on the backside of the black stairs, but OXG is probably just going to try and strong arm and force their way through. The second goes off, and the pressure down towards the backswing on the shield on the far side. Where you going, Renshiro? You're eyeing up the possibility of a jump out, but when you got a Nomad on the board, it's cautious. There's the first spray. There's the smoke onto the plant spot. They're going to see if they can try and put pressure. Dreams down, and so's the kit. A handful of seconds to Renshiro. I assume a jump out onto Fox. They gets one more. Vert. He grabs the kit and goes as deep as he can behind the hard wall. There's cover from Lax on the corridor. A huge kill he needs to try and get. They got to get mobile. Misses the first. It's a post plant. There's Vert for 1 and Lax for 2.
They managed to hold it off in the end there. The plant goes down, even though Brede was able to stop that in the very first occasion. And they hold it off. Oxygen to cover on point from Geisha. And now 4-on-4. Equalize the score yet again. Round 9 soon to start, and we are headed towards karaoke and tea. And the crowd's starting to live up here a little bit here. The OXGs are starting to come in.
There's the crowd that I expected to hear. And 4-4 OXG, they are keeping pace, very importantly. The round after your attack timeout is one of the most important if things are going against you, because you need to keep that momentum. You need that swing, and BDS think they were close enough to be able to bring that back round. The quick change of hands, Lax moving as soon as the call came through. I'm not sure if it was Intel or Bert just said, man, I need you. But he swung to the most important player to try and drop there, because if he can get that kill and then he gets dropped in the trade, Bert will still get the plant off. He's in a 1 versus 1, and you kind of trust him in that situation.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You need to make sure that the objective gets played first, and after that you worry about that clutch that needed to come through. Oxygen, 4-4 on attack. After their tactical timeout, they find success. Can they do it again on the exact same bomb site we played just a couple of minutes ago? Round 9. Now, what can BDS do different? I think the entry there was great. But then they lost 2 players on that bottom floor. That might have been a little bit too unnecessary there. Maybe they need to play that a little bit more safe. Start pulling them back at some point in the round, which could bring them success.
OXG, they had a bit of growth here. Now they can try and cement it and double down, and I'll keep this game back and forth. It's only been a handful of rounds. It's not really been a true sort of scrappy, we'll take one and we'll take that one back. And here they're going to see if they can try and, I guess, drive that momentum in the same way. A couple of breaches above, a couple of angles. Pantry is a little bit dangerous as he sees the gunfire, but he's just going to move through, and that could be huge. If he's now uncontested down here, if they think, well, nobody's getting past here, they might be proved wrong in the worst way.
Could definitely be indeed, but I don't think there's any BDS member currently around the restaurant, sushi, or barbecue area. So with that, I mean, you're giving some ground away. They can use that vertically, but you're not at direct risk of losing anybody out to those players out there. Except, of course, if any grenades start coming in from that direction.
More control of the space. With the Nomad, which has been pretty consistent across them, they're just refusing to let those big rotations come through, which, to be fair, you have to be a bit particular with it, especially when you have the big jump-offs on to Mezzanine from Drum and the play you can do around Restaurant. It's kind of dangerous to get a full faith trust in. Shaiko, he slips away. He's not quite caught, but it wouldn't be the first time if he got caught escaping. Opens up the potential of a jump out just to put a bit of fear into the player around on that side and make sure that, well, there's a presence known here. As Fox wants to drive up, it's Dream that cuts the first. And does Shaiko know somebody's playing around the bottom of the stairs? He's waiting for the pressure from 2 different sides. He's got a bit of an idea.
It's an idea indeed. He will find it eventually. Someone up in his door as well. Is he going to find that kill? No, Newers will lock him off. A 4-on-3. BDS again on the back foot here. Shaiko shortly brought it back. Are they going to be able to take that lead yet once more? 50 seconds, and we're still in the tea and karaoke room.
Well, Dream, he's hovering with a kit around on the window. He wants to go for a swing in. You can see they've gone for a very different approach here to not play against that. The C4 obviously dropped, but at that point, there it is. Can't quite get it. There's a miss on the second. He's behind a hard wall. Dream is in a great position to try and finish this. They can't get the angle. The C4 doesn't get it. News has the lockdown on the corridor. A post plant. 4 versus 2. Lax, he's hanging out on the far side. He has no problems. Neither does Dream. The kid is planted. He's sitting on it. It's a Lems versus the world at this point. And he's able to at least take the first. The great take there. Swung around onto the second. You can see Dream's gone for the rotate now to play around gold. He's hoping he's gone uncontested. The drop on the hatch in 20 seconds. Did he know? I don't know. But now, well, I don't know if he has enough time to get all the way back around. The rotates through. A couple of pre-fires and peppers. No connection. There's another second fantastic take. Unable to find the third. OXG back in the lead.
OXG on 5, 2 more rounds away for the first map to head into their direction. And BDS were a little bit more sloppy on this one, I would dare to say. They weren't quite able to have that early connection that they were able to find before. Instead, found themselves on the back foot quite quickly here. And as they themselves now will avoid barbecue, but head towards the bedroom and the bathroom instead, they know this is a very important round. Because this could be a map point coming in for the side of Oxygen, and they want to avoid that at all costs.
I mean, you have to respond at this point. You cannot let them start threading these rounds together after their timeout because, well, the game's in full motion. You've used yours, and this is the place where you wanted to play. And okay, we're heading to Oregon next. It's a sort of back and forth between both of them, and ending on a club. It's really anyone's up in the air. But when statistically a map favors you, as this one might, based on all the information that we have outside of the closed door stuff, ooh, it paints a little bit of a worry because we're seeing them miss. We're seeing them unable to truly get into the game. I said about Alems, I wanted to see more of him than I have, but I didn't want to see less of the rest of the roster.
And that's it. People like Shaiko currently not really showing up to the fullest of their capabilities yet, and that might be what is holding BDS back currently. That might be what is allowing Oxygen to get into this first map on that advantage that they currently have. That and Newers, of course, getting 4 entries, looking for his 5th. Some of these walls, some of these doors are starting to open up. Is he going to be able to find Shaiko, who's looking to go aggressive here? He has been spotted, but decides to go for the swing anyway.
Well, another drone, another slip by, and another hold from a bit of an angle. He's hoping to get a pixel. The grenade goes close, and it's a bit of an awkward one to try and throw yourself in. That wall's currently locked. It's a pop just round in the corner, the VIP wall. There it is. It's open. It's gone. Rafal, he's going to see if he can hold on. The play of the Mozzie to try and control the rampant intel information that's been so good, and Shaiko finds one. An important take there. Newers off the board underneath, and well, that sort of says, well, we still have to try and clear above, but they're locked in down there.
They are locked in, at least for now, and you see that Oxygen, they still want to open up that double wall near the exhibition, and they needed a little bit of help, and Foxe is going to be providing just that. Has a breaching charge left, is going to be using that to get rid of those Bennett wires from below, but they need to make sure that there's nothing there to stop it. Indeed, there's not. A small opening made, but just only on the right-hand side, so Dream almost losing an extra 30 there.
It's enough. It's enough to get him through, and that's the important part because, well, they're doing it with pace. Although they're a body down, they made it work before, and they're going to see if they can try and make it work again. The drop of the drone, Ranchiro's just trying to find some semblance of safety, but nothing is seemingly there right now. OXG, they've forced that vertical play. They've pushed them back, and sure, there's always the worry of a retake, which is why they've had the Nomad so frequently, but you know they've had the Nomad so frequently, so it's another thing you got to think about here.
Rafal opening up with the Nitro Cellar, at least the opportunity to. Will find out no one's out there, but Shaiko finds Foxe on the other side of the map. Vertical is looking to find a return. He's not quite able to find a challenge just yet, so decides to answer with a frag grenade.
Down onto the side. Oh! Bye-bye, Rafal. Taking out the back of Dragon, you can see Renshiro hot-foot sit on a rotate onto drum to try and retake the angle. Shaiko, he tries to find his third for the trouble there. The Trace has come a little bit back towards him. You can see some pressure's about to come down from VIP stairs, and they've got the window hold on the opposite side. 3 different angles are closing down here onto Shaiko. He's got the cover and support of Predate to make sure they don't just hop in behind him. The flashes come through, and there's Dream finds two, gets a huge and important take here. Lax swings round, Shaiko with two more! A quad kill for Shaiko! He's looking for the last connection, RenZero takes it! But I said we wanted more, and he said we.
He responded indeed. A 4K coming in. The ace is the opportunity. If it wasn't for his teammate, dare to shut it out. And now it's 5-5. And that means this next round is going to be deciding who's going to have a map point to go their way. There's no 3 points here. It is just going to be maps that matter the most. And whoever takes that first is going to be headed into the second one with a little bit more ease, a little bit less pressure. And as the exhibition is coming back on the board here for BDS, so is the clash.
Are they going to try and deal with the clash? It's sort of that question because they didn't before. They had an awareness of it. They had Lax watching it, and they had the air jab, so she couldn't go aggressive. We've seen air jabs go up against the clash on this map in the hands of BDS before, and usually they just wait until it's clear and then walk into it and get rid of it. They know how to play against it. So it kind of begs the question, how do you put a little bit more pressure on? How do you drive yourself into that position? You could potentially, if you're OXG, pick up and try and head over to Geisha, the sort of side of the map that they didn't truly explore in terms of a way of taking across. It means you've got to play that funnel, which we talked about before, around Drum, around that hefty middle space where the Dragon is too, which makes things very awkward, but at least it lets you get in the building.
You definitely need to get that clash away from that thermal area, just from that balcony, because if the clash is playing there, there's no way you will be entering safely. You will be opening up that wall without a challenge. And, well, whereas BDS have left it soft on one of them, it means that just a simple impact or some skeleton key shots from vertical could be opening it up. But then there's still that clash that will slow you down if you try and swing that way, that will maybe find you caught off by the side players.
There it is, the flash and the mute jammer to stop the air jab. Okay, there's the bit of the change, and there's almost the catch, and this is what I talked about. If you're a clash, you just sort of pull your way back round. It becomes a battle for attrition, and Newers quickly ran the numbers, and he's not happy with the result. So instead, they're going to see if they can try and at least draw some attention once again. Elsewhere, once again, maybe towards the bottom of Shaiko, where he's sort of holding onto the stair set. He was pressured before. The opener at the top of the stair set was one where he was entirely caught unaware, and, well, they might try and lead in here. The pressure under the wall, he's concerned someone's going to try and bite back, but it seems like nobody wants to.
Don't really mind. They're giving that wall away to the side of OXG again. As long as the clash is alive, they can go quite aggressively out there, slow them if they do decide to swing upon that breach, and that allows those side players to get an advantage on those players out there. Vertical, however, from below could be playing a crucial role with opening up some verticalities from below.
That's it. It was a bit of a risky play there, just sort of going solo and getting it open. But as I said, BDS didn't seem to really want to conflict it. They were like, okay, yeah, cool, you can have that space. It got the wall open, and the Candelas are going to see if they can try and push a little bit further. All of them thrown. And the last one connects round, but a team flash means they can't truly move behind it. The last cooked a little bit. The Clash says, no, not this time. And Brede says the same. Drop locked and shotgunned off. And there's Shaiko finding Vert underneath as well, the cover on the stairs. Less than a minute left now, and they're still going to see if they can try and push behind the back of the failed push already. RenZero, he's not under any pressure there from the other side. Lax sure is, as the Clash is still making sure that every single second, every single site is one that is met by electricity.
A lot of utility used here by the side of Oxygen, but they weren't able to move through because of that electric shield. Brede finds another kill. It's only up to Lax and Fox now to try and lock it off, to try and find these 5 French players trying to stop them from happening, and Lex coming from behind might just do that with the Clash.
There's it. There's that huge rotate I talked about, the options that it can offer here before, and, well, it's the only option they have left. A triple for Brede, and at least one picked up back here. There's the Clash. That's going to be the call on intel. You don't even have the time to get into the site. BDS, they are sitting on map point.
One more round, and BDS is going to be able to take that first map away from Oxygen and find themselves one leg into the semi-finals. And again, the Clash here, I mean, they struggled with it. They opened up the wall, but they were always allowed to. BDS didn't really care. I mean, they left the wall soft for a soft breach to be used on it. The idea is that as soon as they do want to go through that breach, the Clash steps out. The Clash starts using that CCE shield, and you will be moving in slow, like, for example, a Banshee being out there. The only difference is you cannot quite shoot the Clash, where you can shoot the Banshee nowadays. So it didn't really work out for the side of Oxygen. Luckily for them, they probably won't have to go back there again, unless, of course, they reach it to OT, which will be their goal. And that gives them a little bit of opportunity to think about a counter they could use for that instance.
We return on a BDS defense to karaoke, but the last 2 times we were here, OXG grabbed the mic and threw it on the ground alongside the kit as well. Even against all of the pressure that BDS were able to mount, it was a last-ditch effort, which was the first and a success. And the second, well, they barely seemed to put in effort, and they still absolutely brushed BDS's side. It was so collected. And at this point, you're wondering, okay, BDS, what's your change? Because theirs was to get better, smoother, cleaner, and faster and hit you harder. You've got to see if you can at least try and change the track to something that you can at least sing along with.
That's what they will be trying to go for here indeed. And a lot of Mew Jammers are being set up around the exhibition area. It is going to be to stop these drones for freely moving through. So a roamer can be out there in terms of Rafale, for example, just to try and find an early entry, just to try and find that first kill. Newers gets taken out by LMs, and that might be a very crucial kill for BDS.
He has sort of drifted a little bit away from his skill at the opener. He can't quite get the same connection on attack as he did so frequently on defense here, and it's a bit of a cost, but it's also a big bit of pressure. The first time playing on a stage like this is always going to be a moment that brings you in, but as they said on the desk, he's the man that knows what he can do, and you know he's going to keep trying to step it back up vertical. He's finding his way here across the side itself, caught on a drone, but they've been able to get themselves in. The early take means BDS can pull themselves back a little, and as I said before, this corner is very often a big hold and point for EU teams.
Definitely is, and as Vertical starts to open up some rotations for the side of Oxygen to save time, you look at it with only being 100 seconds left for Oxygen to try and tie this up, to try and make sure that this becomes a 6-6 overtime where they could go for that first map. BDS, of course, will look to try and prevent that, and as they drone out the mezzanines, they know there is a lot of clarity here. Oxygen can move into these positions. The true challenge, though, will be coming onto the T-room.
Hit behind the drum in 1:20 to see if they can try and make it beaten away towards the site that gives them at least an OT here. It's the opening map, but when you're this close to taking your opponents, you really want to push it over the edge. BDS, they're holding on. They're making sure they're not going to overextend. And as this intel game I talked about before that's been so good, might be about to net itself a reward here. An unexpected catch and a very easy one. LM's taken out by Vertical. The fight there on the main stairs. He's been able to swing his way around. The hallway is his. He's going to pull himself a little bit further back. Doesn't want to overextend because Shaiko in the meantime is under huge amount of pressure there from the top of the opposite side. It's all the way from the back. Vertical with a triple. Vertical with a quad. And now he just has one more to find, and it is an ace!
Vertical with the ace will keep Oxygen in it here, and they will make sure we're headed towards overtime. 2 more rounds now for either of these two teams to lock it off. And as the cheers come through, Oxygen are starting to get in it. Yeah, keep it up.
We go to OT, and we find, a great fight back. Okay, Vertical pulling an ace to get you into that situation. It's kind of something that we haven't really got during this major, because coming into this tournament, he was the top-rated player. He was the one that was everybody's eyes on. Let's see what he can do for a lot of people, and, well, he was doing it not quite as well, but here, when it matters the most, he takes us into this OT, and it's down to BDS to see if they can at least try and keep it going. With how this map has swung back and forth, it's not really easy to tell who has the preference here. But BDS tying a couple of defenses together, maybe there's something.
Maybe there is, but the exhibition is up next. And time again, Oxygen have struggled to deal with what is the clash that is being played by BDS. Now, have they found something? Do they know a way to get rid of it? What we saw the first round is the air jets being used to try and get rid of that clash, make sure you blast back. Second round, BDS used a mute jammer to make sure that those do not work. And again, that is being put down, as you can see right here. Then they tried to use these stun grenades on Fox, on the Zofia. Now, Rafal, of course, in a position where he could easily fall back, so maybe Oxygen, they need to be entering from that Geisha side to truly put on the pressure from behind, and that's exactly what Newers is looking to do.
It's it. I said it before. It could be a way to get into the building because that's when OXG plays really, really well. They got themselves a bit stuck outside before. A lot of focus on a couple of walls, and sure, they're important for the takes, but when you know you can drive some pressure against this team, get in and get that pressure applied from a slightly different surface. And here you can see the Clash is now forced to rotate. They're stacked up, they're paying attention elsewhere, but suddenly you've opened up a little bit of a gap, a little bit of a hole where they don't have as much locked in. The grenade doesn't get the Clash. They're able to pull themselves back. They're more than aware of that, but as a huge rotate comes through there from OXG, they've sort of said, well, we've got half the map. Let's see what else we can do with it.
I mean, that's it, right? I kind of realized that outside balcony's out of bounds. They're not really going to be able to do anything there. So instead, let's push from the mezzanines. Let's take Dragon. Let's take Terrace and see if we can knock on the front door that way. As Ranchero is struggling getting some of these drones here. The Clash will most likely reposition as well with a sight wall of VIP to be opened up, but there's two members of BDS hiding around that corner.
I mean, both of them are a little bit double stacked and stuff there. They're hoping they don't get entirely fed through. Ranchero, he's tucked in a close corners. He's maybe opting for the fight. Vertical's going to see if he can get the grenade round. He knows where it is, and he just caught him out the window. Trade from Laxing was there a little bit too late, but close enough to get it, and Lems can't quite find the same success. They're able to take care of the man who drove them into this overtime. And Ranchero, is it a worthy trade? Is it going to be something that pulls them off? Because there's still a lot of possibility on the side of OXG.
55 seconds on that clock. Who will take this first round of this overtime? Laxing is getting very close to some of these BDS players here. Just a single misstep will give them an entry again onto this side. But with 40 seconds left on the clock, Shaiko goes down. Oxygen in a 4-on-3.
Dream once again finding an important kill, and Laxing finds one of his own. Newers can't get the full catch there. Alems finishes off the man with the kit, and there is Fox though, and there is Laxing. OXG, they take the first of OT. They are one round away from taking BDS's map.
And they managed to beat them on exhibition, the side where they struggled time and time again when the Clash seemed to be unbeatable. They found a way around it now. And listen to that. Give them your strength, give them your energy, as it is an overtime match point now. Oxygen, will you take Skyscraper?
Bedroom bathroom is where we're gonna find ourselves, and this was an OXG sort of mid-round pick. It was fully successful. It was where they kind of had themselves locked in, but it was built on a bit of a scrappiness and a bit of confusion from the side of BDS of how to approach. OXG are gonna see if they can double down on that. It was kind of a learning game. From BDS, we saw them grow into sites that they'd otherwise lost before. Karaoke and Barbecue were obviously starts for OXG, and then losses towards the end. This is the only site we didn't see twice from them, and this is the only site that they didn't lose.
Let's see if they can keep on to that again. Emmy, what have BDS learned? They have been playing onto the other side for a very long time, onto that defense. It's been 7 rounds since they were on the attack. And we're seeing a Kali coming out from the side of Rafal. A one-shot kill weapon in that sniper rifle. Is it gonna be successful is the question. Some long angles can be held off with that 12-time zoom scope. But they do need to have a peek to at least be able to use it.
Waiting for the C4 over the window here. There's a bit of a pre-fire. Fox is crawling. He might go for a catch. No. He thinks a little bit better of it. He tried to flirt with danger, but he tries to flirt with a lot of things.
2 minutes 20. Alems in the building near the sushi area, looking to be pushing up, looking to find an entry here. He knows it's on that bottom floor and will now be crossing a bit of danger here because there is that overhanging loom and doom as he is slowly headed towards those the living room stairs. There is someone on the back of him. Does he know? Is he aware? He's just hiding in the corner.
He's holding on. He's waiting and hope someone goes over for the hop on the wall or just to rotate, and they're not doing it, but they're not entirely sure. Do they know where he is? You can see Shaiko's making a move, but look on the far side of your screen. You can see an OXG player ready to do the same thing, round on the back as soon as the pressure comes through, the ping on the soft wall. Oh, the hard even. They're going to see if they can try and get this breached open. That will give the game away, that they're going for something sneaky, so you got to try and make the catch happen. They're hoping they're rewarded and gifted, but that's not coming through. So, the pull of the pin might at least start that approach. The bounce of the grenade, it does a huge amount of damage to two of the players. You can hear the wall start to get popped open as well. Suddenly BDS says we're here. We're going to see if we can get a little bit further along. The drone's round, the bit of rotation comes around and behind and over the top of them. They want to hop through this window, but again, OXG is staying a bit far away.
It's going to be the trick coming through there at the moment. Brede wants to go for the extra thermic, and that makes it a little bit different and difficult here as Alems takes some damage on the back.
That was it from the mezzanine, the player I was talking about before. He's still up there hanging around on the side of Drum. He knows that he can apply the pressure whenever he wants, and it's a problem that BDS have to deal with. The pop of the stuns over the top. They actually swing into it with the C4. It's a late gift, but it doesn't quite get the full finish on Alems, who's massively injured. 50 seconds. And Renshiro wants to get in with the sledge and do some damage, but as long as there's players up there, there's not really much further he can go. 40 seconds. BDS, they're still calculating, but a lot of concern.
There's even a Frostmat underneath that window. The Kali explosive lens will get rid of the bandit wires. This will open up the wall that Fox is right behind. He doesn't realize he's going to be having the wall open upon him. This might be a rush from BDS to try for a last effort here.
I mean, 30 seconds. If anything else, it's got to be. And there's a return. Shaiko is able to find the first here. BDS, they've got an opener, and you can start to see the Kali try and break their way through. It's vertical. He bikes back, but is instantly picked back up by Alems. They still have the control above, and the stair set itself. A big rotate from Newers round onto the opposite side. Laxing's trying to go fishing down a hatch, but he can't get the full catch. There it is! The kid is cold! There's a handful of seconds. They get it back in their pocket. You're looking at only two players standing. Alems has everything to cover, but BDS has it locked out. It is OXG that take BDS's map.
And there it is. They were a map point behind, but they're able to bring it back. An ace to keep them in the game. 2 rounds right afterwards as well, with an 8-6 victory. And that is one. And now one more map to go before they're headed towards the semifinals.
We're gonna let them bask in this. You can hear it at home. I don't know how much of this audio was picked up, but this is an audience happy to see some NA success. And that's some NA players happy to be living in and amongst it. BDS, their first map on theme, their first map on Skyscraper even is a bit of a stumble. Where we head next after a quick break, Desk will set this in motion.
Fighting hostiles is like solving a puzzle. All the pieces are a total mess. Then you solve it as if you always knew the answer.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Rainbow Six Major here in beautiful Charlotte, North Carolina. Doa, your host here, along with Fresh and Jesse. And one of my analysts is looking very pleased. The other one, you know, gets the joke, but he's not looking quite as happy right now. I mean, that was, I will say, that was probably the tightest individual map we've had yet in the quarterfinals, bar none. Both of these teams are great. Both of these teams are putting on performances, but only one of those teams got the win. It was Oxygen.
It was, and I definitely think this is the best map that we've seen so far in the playoffs. I mean, not only did it go into overtime, but also every single round felt really, really tight, action-packed from the very beginning. We talked on this desk how it was going to be a battle between Shaiko and Newers, and both those players really popped off big. This was a game where the opening pick decided a lot of the rounds throughout the series. And as we went through this map, we saw time and time again Shaiko and Newers picking up those clash picks with the LMGs, and they got a lot of openers that almost always converted to rounds.
Yeah, and I love the adaptability. Ultimately, I think Oxygen won this in overtime, obviously, but on the adaptability of that office attack. Of you know, putting your head against a wall, dealing with that clash twice in a row. And they said, screw this, guys. We might not even have a set attack from the other side, but we're going from the other side. This clash is too much of a pain, so we're just going to ignore it. It paid out for them. And 2 rounds, we talked about how the opening kill conversion was so important in this match. The 2 rounds in overtime, BDS got the opening both times. Oxygen managed to find a way to win. So it became a completely different dynamic in overtime. They had to dig deep, but they are worthy victors.
Yeah, that clash strat on Exhibition seems so strong, and we don't really see that in North America. I know it's common over in EU, but in NA, that's just not something that we deal with very often at all. So for Oxygen, I mean, sure, they were VOD reviewing, but this is likely not something that they've had to go up against very often, if at all, in the past. So really huge props to Fox, the IGL, to be able to call that adaptation, figure out on that last overtime round, the 3rd time around where they were attacking that site, let's just hit it from the north, let's ignore that clash, and it really did work out, and you're right, it's the reason they won this game.
I mean, look at the stats. Honestly, there's great numbers on both sides here, and that's what you expect from a really close matchup like that. I want to draw your attention to Newers. He was one of the players we were talking about earlier. Ended up with a negative kill to death, but only by 1. Had a really strong first half of the map. I feel like it trailed off, but here's where the strength of Oxygen comes in. Like you were just talking about, basically anyone on this team can be clutch if the moment calls for it.
And Newers was particularly good, not just in the entry, but particularly on those T-room attacks where they managed to isolate the karaoke side, and he was completely cutting the rotates from the BDS players with that LMG. So he wasn't just going in, taking those entry engagements. Yeah, he did go negative, but he did a very important role in the overall plant objective for the team as well. So, you know, his first kind of LAN stage experience, he performed, even though he went negative, he performed exceptionally well, in my opinion.
Yeah, sometimes it's more than the kills and deaths. It's about the job you do, right? Let's talk about one of the rounds in particular. It's going to be round number 2. Now, this was interesting because it was a very strong post-plant operation for OXG.
I thought this was a really high-level round from both teams. We're going to watch first BDS take the bomb site on T-Room, and we're going to watch how they execute. Look at the Monty already in the site, and we've got a grenade kill to come over and kill Dream on the left-hand side, and they're going to set themselves up to get this kit down. The smokes come through. There is nothing that Oxygen can do against this. The only plant denial they have is Laxing with a C4. He's going to go give it his best shot, but he's unfortunately not going to have the intel. But watch how OXG play this post plant. They start by tossing up the C4. It's not going to happen. The first thing that has to go through is Laxing has to find this intel, because he's going to walk up these black stairs and pinch with vertical to get a couple of kills. That means Vert has to call where the Monty is and where the other player's top black is. Watch now as he walks up these staircases how perfect this pinch goes. Lax gets to the very top of these stairs, flicks around, finds Shaiko at the same time. There goes the swing from vertical. It is amazing how well they play this. And then the final player down at the bottom, it's a window repel. This is very dangerous. Laxing jumps out on the bottom floor, takes down Brede off the rappel, then they finally clean up the Montaigne. That's an amazing post plant.
It's composure, it's communication, and it's a sign of an experienced team to know, right, we've lost the bomb site, we need to retake it. Nobody lose their heads, nobody die. Let's take 10-20 seconds before we do this, and then we'll get back into it.
The amount of teams that would win that post plant could fit on one hand, and this is
this
is less
beautiful.
of a complex clip, but just such a hype one. We've got the ace from Vertical in round 12, and Vert's a player that we maybe didn't talk enough about at the start of this game. He was the #1 rated player throughout the entirety of the NAL. He is crazy with it, and he's had a fantastic stage for Oxygen.
#1 player in the world, I think, coming out of the first stage, just based on the numbers. And again, you know, it's no surprise, right? When you see him put on plays like that, it's great. Like, I kind of just want to get into the next map as soon as possible because I know both of these teams are probably ready. And man, it's just been great. This is a series where it's like you get to this point in the day, you know, if you've been watching in the crowd for a long time, you're obviously hyped, but we've been here a long time, and this last map has like re-energized me like I plugged directly into a wall outlet. It is great. Probably better results than if I actually did that, but
yeah, slightly
in a mental sense, I suppose. Yeah, that's right. So that's right. Final thoughts on map 1.
Map 1 was incredibly tight, but I am a little worried heading on to map number 2. If we get to auctions pick, this could get a little dicey for BDS.
I don't know. For me, for map 1, in my mind, BDS had to win Sky, and I said this when G2 didn't win Theme Park as well.
True.
You lose your map pick, you put yourself under an incredible amount of pressure.
You do.
And I think that's what BDS will be feeling right now.
That's right. Well, BDS certainly feeling the pressure. Oxygen certainly feeling it as well. But for now, the leaders in this series, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we will see if Oxygen can close it out 2-0 or if BDS will tie things up. Don't go anywhere. The Charlotte Major returns in just a few.
Hello and welcome back, everybody. It's OXG that is currently leading. They're one map away from making it to the semifinals. Will they make it?
That's not for me to know. That's not for anyone in the audience to know. That's for the players to find out. It is map 2. It is Oregon, OXG's pick, but statistically is not as sided as BDS's pick was supposed to be. So they could be in a really good spot here.
They could be in a good spot indeed. They managed to take their opponent's map pick just barely. However, a 8-6. It was definitely a very long first map. And with that, there's a lot of pressure now gone from the side of Oxygen. They've just gotten that first one on the board. Let's see if they can get a second, or if BDS is going to be able to strike back here against the home crowd favorite team here. BDS up to Oregon. They're getting ready. They're getting seated. Still in their focus. There's a lot they need to make up for.
They have everything to do, and that's that big sort of moment, is one more map goes away from them and that's it. That's the run gone. They've obviously taken a knock from an NA team during the group stage where Astralis were able to beat them, but the only team that were able to beat them. Now we've had a second one go down, but their last response was to then take the next map. They were more than able, more than happy to drive themselves back in, and well, we didn't see Oregon as the map between them, but we did see it against Chiefs, and to be fair, that came quite close, the 7-5.
Yeah, against the Chiefs, but the Chiefs, to be fair, were a team that, even though they went out with 0 points, they can be proud because they brought it close almost every single matchup they played.
They did.
And unfortunately, we won't see them. They have left the venue. They are on their way back home. But that doesn't matter. You know what matters? We're headed into the game. We're headed into map 2, Oregon, on your screens.
Wow, I think it's time to make some noise here. 49 versus 51%. Both your teams are pretty even here. OXG and BDS, are you out there?
I don't think they are. Aren't you out there? Make some noise. Yes, come on. That's what we like to hear.
All right, Oregon, you are all familiar. It's not quite the fresh taste that Skyscraper is. It's a map that, well, maybe we shouldn't remind NA of things that have happened on this map on big stages, but it's a different place. It's a different time, and it's a Yingless experience. Even though it was something that really OXG brought before, they're not going to play against it here on this sort of tight scenario. It's kind of got a bit of a new taste, and for a lot of people's books, although we see it a lot, it's because it's the most balanced map for a teams on attack and defense, quoted by a lot of them.
Definitely so. It is a very balanced map. Just like Clubhouse to some extent, it is a map that everybody knows. Like, it has been with Siege for so long, and it has been in competitive for so long. And even if it gets reworked, everybody quickly finds their pace again. But who will find the quickest pace here tonight? As the last ban of Valkyrie came through, it's not something out of, too strange to see on a map of Oregon. Mira, same thing. Thatcher as well. The only one that stands out is going to be that Ying.
Yeah, I mean, but why bring a Ying when you can bring a Blitz? Currently on the list, obviously there is attacker repick across the board, but a quick Blitz rush isn't the most surprising thing here in terms of just them getting in, and exactly where Fox is droning there. Fox is drone on the top right-hand corner. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have pointed to it. Might have a very quick rehearsed it because of a drone, but it was in a corner where you expect that Blitz to put some pressure. A quick drive towards the shield there on the corner of blue is, well, actually done quite a few times throughout this split as well. It's something that G2 we see play quite a lot, and Heroic as well. I guess they're going to see if they can have a little bit more success than those teams did.
Now, in terms of entries in that last game, let's just, paint a small picture here for everybody to see. 9 of them went in favor of BDS. 5 of them went to Oxygen, of which 4 were gained by Newers. Now, that is an incredible opening ratio for him there, but unfortunately for Oxygen, struggled a little bit in that early round. Luckily, though, they were able to convert most of the rounds where they lost it anyway. So, if they now start getting those entries as well and they keep up with the same pace as they did at Skyscraper, BDS will be in big trouble.
And as you can see, we're very quick rehost here. Just before, I mean, if there's a time for it to happen, it may as well be at the start of a map. Touch wood, hope it doesn't happen a little bit later on as well. OXG, they want to try and keep this momentum going. They've built themselves up. BDS has been able to have a team talk. Time to try and as I said, bring their heads back into the game. They started a little bit mixed, although they got off to an early start. It was really the mid-game where they began to battle themselves back. They had the option and ability to be the first and only team to lock it out on max points, didn't get it. But then, well, OXG definitely did. They bit back. They were able to then take a very clean OT. The confidence came back from them, and that's why they're more than happy to try and throw themselves in. It is pressure onto the side of the EU team. The last remaining EU team.
G2 dropped out as the very first. BDS is now, unfortunately for EU, with one leg out as well. They need to make sure they start bouncing back. And as we are headed back into the game, the laundry and supply will be on the board. BDS will be trying to bring a defense here as the half funds are coming out. You mentioned it before, a blitz rush. Not too uncommon.
It's it's this strange one, because you say the word rush in Siege and you expect all of the players to suddenly throw themselves in. OXG can do those plays, but more it's a reference to the fact that that blitz will just take that fight. It was a long, long fight. Many, many times on elbow, on blue, where we see them locked in with a shield. The smoke is doing his best to stop anything. We are back into the game. And it's down to that blitz to just sort of go 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, elbow is mine. We have pressure onto the site, and the rest can start to move behind it. If they lose themselves in the fight, okay, it happens, but it can be such a sharp strike into the hearts of anyone that's got a hold down there they think is solid.
It definitely can be. And as the setup is being made, being prepared by BDS, you see a couple of them up on that first floor, able to drop these hatches laid, but also hold on to kitchen and to CCTV, whilst the meeting is also within question for BDS to potentially hold. The hatch that's left soft, but now probably will be reinforced actually by Ranchiro. As I say that, it seems like it doesn't really matter. They're headed towards blue, they're headed towards barrels.
With a lion on the board, with a finger, maybe the old school rush is the one. That's what we talked about. They're getting out of there. There's the pings and there's the smoke. They're able to pull themselves back, but Vertical gets the take. The pressure onto Harry Potter. You can see Foxay's holding off there. He's not going to go for an entirely deep dive. They want control there as Shaiko is doing his best to stop it. A slow slink through, just sees the side of the blitz. And there it is, an important take back. The E1D goes off, Alem suffers onto Pillar, but it's Harry Potter that goes away from Vertical. He's tucked back in, hiding under the stairs there and waiting for a little bit more control. Lax finds Predates back and forth with Dream holding on the close angle. Alems is making sure the only ones left are here, driving themselves from where the first point of the site was. Dream! A huge take onto the back line now. They've made their statement. The BDS players have their own, but Ranchiro, a very clean take on the head of Newers. Dream, he was able to get a huge couple of kills on the previous map now. He's got one to open up this, but look at the rotation. BDS, they pulled themselves back. There's all the time in the world, and they're going to use it to their best ability to just set themselves up. It's a 2 versus 1. And if you treat it like that, then you should theoretically have success, but we've seen failures come through. Dream, he's able to find the first. The other is sitting there, holding themselves a bit clean onto Laundry. Alems with a C4 still in pocket. That's the important bit of utility you got to pay attention to. Because if he gets the swing on that, that is theirs. Hey, you got a lot of dead teammates. There's a couple of Sam cams just to give you the read and the pings on the player's motions. He takes care of that one. Why not a second? A little bit more awkward to get. Tucked in on the side of the doorway. The swing is coming through. The pre-fire is there, and there's still so much time. 1:10, and Alems, is he going to go for the C4? No, it's stuck there by Dream. It's a huge rotate and a post plant. He somehow found the ground, and amongst it, the fight on Pillar is Alems.
The plan went down with the Lems with the SMG-11 just a little bit quicker on that trigger. Even the Argus Chems were unable to provide the information necessary, and BDS, they find their first round. And it's what is necessary. They want to head to a map number 3 here. And when they went for that rush, they instantly managed to push out the smoke from the elbow. Just unable to find any further kills. And the Lems on the SMG-11 there. Crucial clutch to come in.
I mean, it was almost massive there. From OXG, they went really big and bold, got the opener, got the pressure in, and then got slowed. Alems, he was just as big. Hiding around, obviously, getting some support there from Ranchiro, who took out Vertical on the backside of the white stairs. He made sure they at least had something to stop the blood. That engagement goes the other way. The round is probably OXG's. Any of the other ones, you could say the same, and it still almost was. And I kind of want every round to be like that.
That's it, right? You want it to come down to these 1v1s in the end, with the diffuser to put some pressure upon the defenders. And BDS able to deal with it this time around, but as we're headed up towards the dorms, will they be able to hold up yet again? Because Oxygen was able to win these early engagements, or at least the earliest engagement. They took some early ground before BDS was able to strike back. Now, think of it, what if that smoke fell before the canister popped? The site would have been overrun by members from Oxygen. So, well played there in the end to get that canister on the ground, because that saved them the round.
Well, OXG, they're probably not going to do the same, a similar set of lineups, but obviously the pullout is the Blitz and the E1Ds of Lion. They're making sure that instead it's this metered approach, the one that goes mark for mark and they get the full control. But I say that, the drones are already finding their way up here on the close white side of the stairs. Newers, he's revealed by at least the proc, so that grenade is just going to get rid of as much utility as he hopes. Though it's a slow roll down the stairs, I think it does still get the proximity on the wall.
Might have indeed, as Vertical's opening up some extra rotations. They want to be smart on the side of Oxygen if it's someone that somehow does go down south. Now, Lems finds a drone. That gives away his position, however, of being inside this 90. That definitely will. The shoulder peak that comes through decides to fall back as the Finka is going for a bit of a chase, but instead decides to, you know what, we can add up these white stairs as well.
He can hold it, but they know that there was some attention here before, so he knows that BDS is probably a little bit aware and a little bit cautious of this. Vertical, he's holding off the rotation here. He's hoping somebody tries to get a bit bold round in the kitchen long corridor and go for a trip down towards the fridge, but they're not. It's actually Renshiro that finds the kill on the top of white. As I said, they were paying attention to it. Euros once again off the board. More drones, more roll, and more rotation from OXG, but they can't quite find a route through.
A minute 30 on that clock. Route yet to be found, as you said. Some windows are being opened up to at least put pressure down onto roamers that might still be out there and make them aware of the fact they could be watched. Now, Dream finds a kill. Renshiro does go down. The smoke canister deals a lot of damage towards Dream. However, as he does manage to escape just barely towards the bottom of those white stairs.
Once again, Dream having this big impact here. The man with the kit is making sure he connects with more than just the floor. Renshiro gone. Smoke canisters off the board at least. One still in pocket, and Laxing, well, he's given a freebie. Lems hopped up over the side. Pit is his. There's a second fight. He's able to do a lot of damage. Rafal is still standing, and that's the worry. But here it is, and there he goes. But lives up to his name and gets a very good second pick. There's one more for the road. Foxe finds Bride and Shaiko. All that is left in a 4 versus 1. Has the reveal on the player close, gets the first take, gets the second, can't find the third, but at least survives, and he's going to find himself behind the chassis. There's still the worry of the rotate round on the second. Almost finds the connection, but look at the timer, 20 seconds. There's at least another dance. There's another take. There's a cold kit. It's 15 seconds. It's Shaiko versus Laxing, but Laxing gets it out.
Very close to a 1v4 clutch there for the man who's been able to drop 100 kills per stage for the last 5 of them. But Oxygen hangs on just barely with that last kill to go their way. And while they started off strong, just had a little bit of a struggle closing out the final gunner on the side of BDS. And Dorms, again, will be chosen by them. They realize that there's something that went wrong there, and that might have been those kills that came from the attic side.
Almost, Shaiko, but almost on a 4K is still a bit of a worry, because it begs the question, where else can we try and bring this back in? I said I wanted every round to be like that, and we're still 2 for 2 on exciting ends to rounds. Let's see if the double down is something where somebody will start to at least get a little bit more control over it, because it's still a bit scrappy. You look at where these engagements are happening, you're looking at the rotations that are coming through, the pull there of Vertical, to be in the position underneath the side of stage and the swing round on that grenade, it was very well played, but it was built off of the back of the take over Pit. Suddenly, Laxing has this movement, he has this position he can get into, but it's still an engagement that's happening from one side of the map to the other. It is everywhere, and nobody seems to have a true idea on where the other's going to come from next.
Attackers are moving out.
3 minutes. Again, the action phase underway. Oxygen attacking the very same side. They have just managed to win, but barely, because Shaiko able to put 3 on the board in a 1v4 clutch. Something needs to change in the hands of BDS, and Oxygen, well, they could just perfect their take, because, again, that was that 1v4. It should have never gotten that close, but it did in the end. But if they find what was successful before and manage to implement that in their take yet once again, they might be able to isolate these BDS members all over the map.
Well, that's it. The isolation is starting to come through. Another wider take here, pulling apart some utility. They've obviously got themselves the driver, the Twitch drone, the Maverick, and the fight. It's a slightly different angle and idea. And Newers, this time he's found himself in the position I talked about before from Laxing, but there's not the competition, the aggression. There is support, though, and a lot of time. And you can see that as the hands start to roll out drones. They're making sure they have some control over the space, the ping on the utility. They can just hold off and wait now and see if they can start this clear towards that walk-in closet and anything else they can get through it.
Scars are being set up now one by one as Impact could be to come in to deny it from happening. So you want to bait out 2 of them at least, or well, the one that is left on the side of Shiro, but with the Twitch drone of Laxing currently in, a little utility being taken out. Oxygen is preparing themselves to go for a take, but with someone down below, with these Nitro still in play on the side of Rafal, that could be detrimental in the last couple of seconds.
Lems is a backline. They have themselves positioned with Rafal at the bottom of the stairs, but it just takes one connection to go OXG's way, and then suddenly there's a hole, but it's Renshiro that finds Dream, the man of the moment in the past couple of rounds, and he's off the board first. Jaiko is almost quickly behind him. A bit of damage and grenade round on the corner of the double window, but you're looking at the pressure here from Vertical over the other side. With the stretch round and the swing and the control, it's Jaiko that actually removes him from the equation. Newers tries to get a bit of revenge here, but it's the hop in and the pressure from the double window. Foxay, he gets one connection, he gets a little bit of crossfire back on him, and he tries to slink away. With a minute left, they have time, but they have no kit, so they got to have a quick conversation about where do we think we can drive this home.
The kit is quite close, though. It's near the master bedroom entrance, so it is not completely out of play. It is recoverable, but they do need to find that opening. They do need to put up some extra gunfights towards the side of BDS, with Shaka taking a small amount of damage there. It is definitely seeming that Oxygen is looking to go that way. 35 seconds still counting down. The kit on the ground, but that is surely being picked up.
That was it. The Mozzie drone was giving a lot of the game away, but there it is, a fight round on the bottom of White Stairs. Suddenly a 4 versus 2, and they've got themselves right underneath. It is such a power position. They finally find the drone that was giving so much of Newes' play away. They're going to see if they can try and deep arm a dive here, but everything below in Zulu is under the control of BDS. They stop them on the door. They're going to look for one more. The pistol of Rafal gives BDS the round.
2-1, and they need this map, remind you, because they lost that first. They lost their own map pick to OXG. And with that, they're looking to start off strong here in Oregon, a map that both these teams will be very well aware of. They all know how to play this one. They've scrimmed it thousands of times. And as the laundry is coming up next, as it has been unlocked for the side of BDS, it kind of came down to a bit of a clutch. A plant, an entry kill, both for OXG, unfortunately not leading to a round, of which the Blitz let it off with that rush, with that quick pace. But BDS just as strong in the end.
Wow, talk about base and talk about control of Lems. With a Ramadash in pocket and the rest that Oryx can bring, might be able to find some exploration on this map, which, to be fair, on certain holds can be massive. You're looking at the way the hatches have this synergy across the top, especially and most notably Attic down towards Moto. It's that sort of drop there towards Epox even, where you can get a deep angle. If a hold and a take is structured around blue and around T1 and around that whole backside of the site, well, suddenly you've got a man that can get from one side of the map to the other with a lot of fluidity outside a small tower, but really, who goes there?
Locate and defuse a bomb.
Well, let's see who goes there. Some rotations already made, and as it can burst out or hop up any hatch, it might make a difference, but it often doesn't in the end.
All right, I build it up, and then you're just like, yeah, but it does nothing.
I mean, normally it doesn't,
Way to
but
get people hyped.
when it does happen, it is insane. Now, opening quickly made up onto the big tower here. They want to put down the pressure upon those back stairs. A drone came through, but Rafal seemed to have noticed as he quickly hops back down.
Vertical, he's also concerned about the angle that might come through. It's a swing. Does he truly know there? Well, he has an idea, and he's waiting for another drone. But as I said, there's a man running around on Attic. They have so much space and stretch, and they're sort of kind of saying, OXG, come find us. A huge presence, but you've also got to remember, again, if we're talking about the hatch synergy, how quickly you can get yourself back down towards the site. Renshiro, as I said, he's not that concerned about the small tower, but he is going to soft that extension there, pull themselves back in. A minute of the time is wasted at this point. They're pretty confident that, as I said, small tower, it's not the most common for a drive here for these sort of takes, so they're actually just going to keep it soft, give them some audio as the pressure, as we predicted, starts to hit T1.
Not just audio, but also slow down in case there is a solo attacker coming from that direction. A quick knife check from the side of Newers, hoping to see if there was someone out here in the meeting room. Not the case. The drones will lead through as well. We'll confirm that indeed no one's out there, but someone could be around the security area. I'm not quite sure if his lens is right on top of the hatch or in the hallway behind it.
I think he might be in Zulu, because we just saw a drone head via there. There he is. He's waiting, and he can try and burst his way around, and he opts for up. Does he know somebody's there? Do they know he's coming that way? There's a hold, a wait with audio, and a move via pit. They're going for the control. We just had an air jab pop off, but was that loose one on the door? Do they have the cover and support? But Lems, he doesn't trust it. He heard it too, just as well as we do, and he knows he's got to be back there. Oh! Newers quickly flicks down towards the ADS, and the head with Dream doing his best to follow up. Foxay stopped on the door, but with the 2 early picks now, that's a Lems loose gone, and that is just 3 BDS players locked in sight.
A bit too scared there to move through the attic. Eventually got himself killed there now. 3 of the members of BDS remaining. Still 40 seconds. It's slowly starting to tick down, but still plenty for the attackers to make something happen. ADS is picking up some of these grenades. They will not land close enough to deal any damage, and with that, the pillar is still within reach as Brede finds Foxay.
They've gone for the drop now. They're inside E-Box, and they're deciding to go a little bit wider. The bulletproof is giving some of the pings away, but the blind gives even less. Shaiko, he's holding close on the angle, 20 seconds, and they're concerned about the plant going to the default. You're still looking at smokes in pocket. You're still looking at Shaiko. He swings around, gets the early take onto the door. They're far away from the kid, so they've got to try and put some pressure. The 3 versus 2 down on the long corridor, and Shiro wants to catch. He's inside the biggest power position right now. If he can get this uncontested, he can really end this, and there it is. He doesn't get it. Newers swings, and it's a Newers round!
Oxygen able to pick it up there. And for a second there, they might have let Shaiko go unchecked, and then maybe the smoke able to swing in time, but no, just in time, twice in a row. And Oxygen, 2-2. Only 5 rounds away from making it to the semi-finals. Yet another NA team does.
Ooh, that one kill. That could have been the connection there. You could see at the end of that, inside the smoke, Lax with the kit was the man trying to make it happen. One connection was the difference between the round going 1 or 2 ways, and that's kind of been the story for every single round in this showdown. And when I said the previous map was one that had a lot of statistics swinging one way, and I said this was one that was balanced, this is like best case scenario of seeing those come together.
It definitely is. We're trading out these rounds. They are getting very close. Just a single bullet can make that difference in the end, or a single smoke canister. Anything like that. But we're headed back towards the laundry. The last time BDS doubled down, they found success. Back up in dorms. Now, doing that for that basement, they need to find these early entries. Currently, they're 2-2 in this map here. But Oxygen able to just strike back time and time again. A bit of a late punch from Renshiro. Probably going to give it away with the drone being out there as well. He's not going to go for a swing.
I was going to say the drone on theme on the American flag, and it just pulls away to sort of say, not here, not on our stage, not on our turf. Now, the take is over on the opposite side. They're paying a lot of attention to this roam game from BDS, and it took a lot of time, but it came through for them. Just. They won the round, and that's always the important thing. It really doesn't matter how you get there at the end of a lot of the days. It's getting there. It's getting that strike on your board, because every round is a fresh round. Users are going to make sure, though, there's a little bit more pace on this approach. Laxing is twinning that alongside the swap out. They often pick Nomad, and instead being a little bit more of a direct drive. I think they're trusting their take, their hold the drones here.
Holding on to that basement floor at least for now. 2 minutes left on the clock, but Oxygen is starting to go for some preparative work here. Opening up some rotations, making sure they can quickly go from one side of the map to another without having to go through the doors and hallways assigned to it as they create their own. It's Renshiro on top of his back stairs, taking out these drones, making sure there's no information headed towards the site.
That spot, well labeled, Shaiko. It's often named that because of him and how he plays there, and he hasn't really been playing there too often recently. He's actually pulled himself into slightly different locations to find the fight elsewhere, whether he's just trying to offer everything he can towards a very good attacking team here, or he's trying to warm up into the game. Either way, you still want him to be living and feeling his best game. OXG, they're going for the slightly different approach here. They tried blue a couple of times, and although it was a success, they don't truly trust it because it was a close success. So let's give ourselves some options. There's still a lot of time. Let's get open the hatch over on the main take. Let's get our laundry guys together. Let's get a little bit of freezer as we see Newers diving his way through, but you're looking at Foxe and Laxing still above that hatch.
The hatch is crucial. They want to put up some pressure on the E-box. They need to do so at synchronized times. Otherwise, one is going to get picked up as Dream finds the very first. It's Rafal that hits the deck. And with a 5-on-4 and 50 seconds left, it's Oxygen that's looking to pull the trigger here.
That's it. And with all the work that they've done, they have so much options. And BDS, they're unfortunately aware of this. They got to have their heads on a swivel and absolutely everything within a scope of understanding. The pings come through, the pressure onto this player, and Elams is able to catch one, and there's a trade out on the other. There's a deep dive all the way through onto the site. Vertical's going to hold the close rotation and maybe see if he gets a gift. Is he rewarded? No, he almost is, but he looks away and finds somebody in blue instead. They are aware of him. They're trying to retake from the side there of the corridor, 15 seconds, and at some point they're going to stick the kit. A huge kill for Laxing over the top. He's almost able to find the second, but it's Shaiko with Vertical on the other side. All down to Renshiro in a post plant, not very long. OXG, pull ahead.
Well played by them there. They knew the last was in freezer. Just try and take that gunfight, but not to aggressively waste time instead of your life. And that was exactly what made sure they could actually go for that plant in that moment in time. 3-2 for Oxygen. And one more round to play. Laundry supply up yet again. If the double down doesn't work, maybe 3 times the charm. We don't know. But BDS is definitely willing to try it.
It's one of those risky movements because if you're looking at this from our perspective, which, okay, we're gifted with omnipotence and omniscience. We see all, and we see an OXG that learned a lesson. And they learned a lesson on the back of started as a loss, turned into a win. There was a close one that turned into what is maybe one of the most convincing rounds we've had of this entire game. It was still down to the wire. There's still stuff to improve on there, but it's still an improvement. And it's BDS's chance. It's BDS's sort of onus and idea of how can we bite back, because when you double down, you open the door of risk. When you triple down, you better win it.
You better do indeed, otherwise you're taking a huge risk, but maybe they just don't feel confident on the other sides. Yes, Dorms has opened up, Dorms is available, but it also took them 2 tries before they won it. And that's something they probably won't want to go at again.
There's 1 try.
I have 2 tries.
No.
BDS that is on defense.
Okay. Oh, you count a win and a loss. Let's not do this. Let's not have a domestic in front of 2,000 people. Let's focus on a game here. BDS. They're still keeping themselves with a big stretch of the map. You can see the loose player over the top of Attic there, and I'm wondering if they're going to try and hold this more aggressively. There's the pressure towards the swing, and there's Shaiko winning that pressure on the side of Shower. He swings his way up, gets the take, gets the body dropped. Lems is on the offer. He's on that little side, and a couple of more bodies have stacked themselves up for the small tower take here. BDS's response to the approach we had from OXG is a setup with more focus onto that side of the map.
A 4-on-5 now. Oxygen a man down. It's a situation they have dealt with quite a bit in that previous map, but most of the time they were able to push the advantage back into their own hands, just like they'll try to do so now. 2 minutes left on that clock to try and make something happen. Here we are in that basement. It is a lot of work that needs to go through. Luckily, Afinka, well, Wassa brings a lot of utility in terms of the LMG, the grenades, the Gon 6, and the heals. It isn't quite necessary to open up the walls and hatches that Oxygen would like to go for to get a plan done.
Just like that Dream lost his drone, went and saved it, and then went back and collected it. Never leave a drone behind, and never leave a hatch closed, apparently. They've got them all open once again with a lot more pace. They're not going to play around with the Maverick this time. Instead, it's a more direct force. They've got the pressure. They can try and apply their round to the back of the corner of Shaiko. They still have a lot stacked up there on the tower stairs. And the more important part of this is they have more bodies for the trade. We've seen how these rounds have come together, and most of them have been back and forth the entire way through. OXG, they have to see if they can get a clean strike or at least a drive with a double. The pressure comes to Pillar, but nobody is home.
On home, at least not yet. 50 seconds on that timer. Oxygen, you need to start moving. You need to start creating these openings for yourselves here. But with BDS all in these power positions, able to hold up the backstairs and the hatches. It is Renshiro that misses the first couple of shots. There's a second one that drops a diffuser, gets down. It's a 1-on-4. It's only Laxing left.
I mean, a cheeky triple for Shaiko from the spot. We talked about him having some confidence, and that is why it's named after him. He was able to swing around multiple different angles, get the drop on the players that got the drop onto the hatch and onto the backside of blue. There's at least one more to get through, but it's Rafal that locks it in. BDS, an even half once again.
I hear the EU fans out there. Let's keep it up. Exactly like that. Round 7 soon, the switch of the half. Oxygen now onto the defense. BDS on the attack. Let's see who's going to be getting the better hand of the other. Is Oxygen going to be able to lock it out into, or is BDS going to be able to bring it all the way to 3 to Clubhouse? Now, as we start off, of course, in the laundry room, as almost any organ ever does, let's see if BDS has a different kind of attack to be able to show as compared to the ones of Oxygen.
I mean, we've seen this side a lot, that's for sure, and we've seen it as a big mixed bag of success, and it's one where you, I guess, want to get a taste of how OXG is going to drive the pace of this instead. They've obviously got themselves with some options of mobility. You're looking at a Thorn, which isn't the most common sort of picked and played in a lot of these holds, but it could give you some great ideas on fast drops. A fast drop play is what OXG ran with. You think of how late they work to a lot of these plants. You think of what a Razor Bloom can do in that situation? Yeah, it's kind of messy.
Now the whole point is, right, we have one on the E-box hatch. You drop through that E-box hatch, you're always going to be instantly in a gunfight with a player either on the pillar or on the side itself. And if you do not move through one way or another too quickly, it will blow up in your face and you will take the hit for it. So BDS need to be well aware. Use a grenade potentially to get rid of that piece of utility. As Newers does get droned out, quickly falls back just a little bit down towards the freezer stairs.
Still holding with a bit of a stretch. You can see BDS multi-storied, and they're eyeing up the potential of dorms over the top, but it's that always risky play, especially with how we've seen OXG hold. Obviously, the comparison onto Skyscraper was they love to play around the verticals. They love to make sure that any entrance was something where, could an OXG player be under here? It's a question they posed time and time again, and the answer was yes, and usually followed up with a kill in their favor. BDS, it seems like they might not want to take that full risk, so instead get in, boots on the ground on the backside of tower. Lems pressing and pressing and pressing and pressing and looking to see if he can try and impress anybody that might be round on the corner, but nobody's home, so we're prepping a Claymore and 2 minutes with some clearance.
Definitely will provide them some security, some safety. Stop these Oxygen members from moving up the back stairs and allow him to play there for a little bit longer. Hold off to the green hallway, for example, before the rest of BDS is ready to go for a bit of a push because they want to go in from multiple different directions. Fox actually spotting out the laser there, knowing someone's been out there and he's not quite free to move up. It's Shaiko that knows there is a Razor Bloom, will quickly try and trigger it and move back as a result.
Well, another smoke comes in. You can see Fox wanted to see if he can go for the swing. Dream's in a position to try and get control of the drone. The flashes come through, and you expect maybe some pressure to come on the backside. They're going for a multi-prong, but OXG, they're aware of this. Vertical's in a position now to swing on the corridor on the side of Freezer. The grenade's all the way back to the backside. It is an absolute cacophony of explosions and explosives, and none of them have actually connected. It's the gun on the backside of T1 that is the first take, and that buys Fox so much room. BDS, they've now got 4 players on a single spot, so a quick rotate comes round over to the opposite side. Less than a minute, and Dream still eyeing up the idea of some pressure, but with 2 hard walls in his pocket, he can lock that off if he wants to. He's being revealed by a call. He's going to see if he can lengthen it out. We heard another Razor Bloom pop off, and there's the wall I talked about being locked off, and they're dropped off and blinded. Nobody really has any idea where they are. 40 seconds left on the clock.
Backstairs being held off, so is the E-box wall. Shaiko takes a small amount of damage. Foxay being very aggressive around the Harry Potter area. Gets one, takes out Shaiko, a 5-on-3. Gets fully flashed, however, but there's nothing Rafal can do about it as Newers gets yet another kill.
Oh, they just locked themselves in there, tucked in a corner, and one more for the road. Rafal has 3 more bodies to take, barely any time to do it. OXG back in the lead.
Back in the lead indeed. 3 more rounds to go. You can start counting down before they make it to the semifinals here against BDS. The next side coming up will be Dorms, of course, as we see these replays coming through in the end. How that round especially fell into their hand. Potentially the momentum with that as well. Now, we have had quite a bit of trading around. It's been even. A 3-3 split kind of tells you that. But this is where the difference can be made by either of these 2 teams. Will Oxygen have a better defense than BDS has? Will BDS show a better attack than Oxygen had?
Well, the first is in their favor, and they're going to see if they can try and swing their way around and double down on Dorms. Obviously, the first time we saw this site on their attack side, it was something that came into that, and if you can guess there from the expressions, a quick rehost. The players want to keep this going. They want the momentum, because it's the most momentous moment for them with that windfall, with that success, and with something behind them. It's a second to talk.
It is a bit of time, indeed, to talk, to try and figure out what could go better or what went wrong, depending on what end you were off it. Because Oxygen, of course, on that defense, were able to lock off that first attack of BDS. And we've said it before on the cast many, many times as well. If there is a timeout, either tactical or technical, it does favor the attack of some sorts, because they can directly adapt on the playstyle that the defenders had, on the setups that they have shown. And of course, it's only been one that Oxygen have shown so far, and we won't be back there until round number 10 at least. But there's always things to talk about here for BDS. And of course, Bios, the coach, is not able to interrupt here because it's not a tactical. But there's a lot of experience on the BDS side of things, and that is what they can use right now.
I really want to stay on that throne. Ian got to earlier. I'm still going to find a moment to later. We will be back in momentarily, 4-2-3. If you have otherwise missed somehow everything that else is going on, a quick technical, and as you said, BDS, they have time to talk and see if they can restructure their attacks. It was late once again. Obviously, it's exciting for us in that position to try and see them force their way through, but you're looking at how OXG held off, and it's kind of a little bit of a taste of what they did on the previous map, where they made sure that they were in a situation of keeping them at arm's length. They kept themselves mobile and moving, and OXG were really, really good at this on their defense. BDS kept on being taken a bit by surprise by the positioning. You look at where Foxay was able to get to there, tucked in on the corner, even with the calls, even with the push and the pressure of the intel and the pre-fires he put down, he was still able to net a couple of bodies. And that disconnect, that problem, is one that BDS just keeps suffering.
They didn't have the best stage in the European League, BDS that was. They came in struggling, eventually managed to find themselves in that top 4 by beating G2 with a 7-2 victory, I believe it was, in that very final play day. That basically qualified them, because for a long time it was either G2 or BDS would make it, and thanks to a heroic, it was both. And now G2 and BDS both here at those playoffs. G2 already eliminated, however, BDS still a chance for survival, but already one leg back into the plane of being knocked out.
It's good vibes.
It is good vibes.
It's good vibes, good energy. You need to keep it on a stage. Obviously, the first time we've had a stage like this in a long time. With thousands of you country folk watching, you probably want to be able to do the best that you can. And here, imagine the scenes with another NA team going through. I feel like, I don't know whether I should tell people why there's the rehost. A player spilled water.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you what player it is. I don't want to...
We can guess, though.
You can guess. You can guess which player spilled their water and why we're having to rehost this.
Just shout some names. Or a team. We could also do that.
The first person I heard said Laxing.
Yeah.
And maybe you're right.
Maybe you're right. We don't know. We do, but...
Someone just said BDS. The whole of BDS spilled their water.
Yes.
Sorry for this. We'll be back in a moment. It seems like they're ready to go. Not a pillar-related incident this time, but instead, I guess a moment here as they quickly double-check everything for the context on where we're at. And where we were sort of at last time, it was a 4-3 for BDS in exchange on Skyscraper. It ended up being a 5-5. It ended up being a 6-6. And then an 8-6. It was all the way, all the way. And here, it kind of feels like we're going to go that much distant. There wasn't ever really a moment on the previous map, apart from at the very beginning, where somebody had more than 2 rounds ahead of the person. Someone had a little bit of a gap, a little bit of a distance.
Indeed, it was Oxygen that was able to find 3 in a row after a flawless start from BDS, which was then answered by also with 3 in a row on the side of BDS itself. And besides that, they have been pretty back and forth. The rounds continue to trade, and as we're headed into the second map now, so was that first half, a 3-3 split. There's not much in between these two teams. It's just that Oxygen was just able to close it out in the end. And they're just a little bit ahead of them right now as well with a 4-3 scoreline. It's not much, but it is definitely a bit of a difference. And you know, every round can make that difference in the end. We said it during groups. BDS was just a single round away from playing a tiebreaker match for first seeding against Astralis.
Well, as the ready calls come through, and as we might find ourselves back in a second, obviously there's a sort of chance for growth here. We're looking at, once again, another chance for an NA team to move themselves further forward. They've already had a hell of a tournament so far. EU, their last chance is the 5 French players and the obviously team behind them. And as the fist bumps come through, we find ourselves, I think it's one more time. If you got a team up the stage that you love, I think you should make some noise for them. I think you could do better than that.
They could definitely do better. I've heard you louder today. Come on. Come on. Yes. Come on, give it to us.
Give it to them. Your teams need it because this game has been scrappy.
All the BDS fans, come on. And now Oxygen. I think BDS has this. Yeah, no, definitely BDS has this.
I think you need yours checked. Okay. We may be close to this. I apologize. There's claps, there's handshakes, there's everything that we need, apart from obviously in front of the biggest screens.
You know what? Let's just put it up then.
Okay, let's press the button.
Let's press that button. Let's get back in.
We're in. Oxygen, 4-2-3. They're going back up to Dorms, a site that obviously, as we said before, was back and forth. There was some semblance of success and then a lot of failure. And I guess it's time then, as we said, to maybe do what could not be done on the previous map, which is be more than 1 round ahead of their opponents.
That's the goal here that they want to achieve. Oxygen on that defense. Historically speaking, on all time for Siege, the defense is always favored, or always has been. There's a couple of maps that are an exception to that rule. Of course, we had Coastline for quite a while. Skyscraper actually falling into that current result. And if we look at the plays of Oregon so far during the major here, a 57% win rate for the defense with actually a 50% one for the Dorms. So Oxygen looking to up that percentage here against BDS to take a 2-round gap between them and the French team they're playing against.
Now they have a lot that they can use here to try and do the full stretch of the map, and we didn't see too much of an exploration down below in terms of the holds from the defense here of BDS, but OXG obviously have that loose player and a lot of time that they can waste. There's a drone caught out and there's some pressure. They hope the trophy stays clear, and it seems so far. Newers has eyes towards the tower side, and it's the multi-pronged approach, but it's also the default. It's one that everyone is kind of prepped for.
A minute has passed already. BDS is looking to take control of trophy. The grenade comes in, but will be caught off, so utility out there will finally pop after a second attempt. I believe that is 2 Goyo canisters.
It is.
That will go together with an ADS, but the shield will still stand. It's up to Shaiko to try and get rid of that with either a Gun 6 or a grenade.
That's it. He's looking and swinging wider and wider. He's concerned about them swinging back because, well, they like to. The fire will end momentarily, and it's big bits of utility you've got to get rid of. The hot pockets, they're spicy, and they'll make sure your day goes bad, as that does there. The grenade can't quite get the catch on. The electrics on the wall. The claw is buried in a slightly more awkward position, so they might have to go with a little bit more of their own. Rafael finds Newers, but also I think Laxing's found the rotation on the stairs. He's looking to try and eye up the pressure here onto the main door. He's just hanging around on the classroom and the swing round onto Laundry side. He can be a big problem.
He can be indeed, and as Shaiko is just looking to find an entry, the RC Ratiro will take care of the shield. That is suddenly one position less for him to worry about. Of course, the swing could still come as Alems finds Dream. It's a 3-on-5. They now want to push.
They're looking for that fight on the backside. Alems is all the way inside the site, and there's that flank I talked about before. Rafal bites back, but it's Foxay inside that gets one of his own. Holding on and waiting for support to come. The structure's away from him, and they're going to see if they can try and stick the kit round the corner. I don't know if he knows, but he knows he's under pressure, so he goes wider, and they do the same. Rafal with a triple, and Shaiko with an end.
No 2 rounds difference just yet. 4-4 as BDS strike back instantly after the short break. And they're not done yet. Kids, dorms, and a bedroom. Actually, no, a bit of a change coming in. They're not running it back like BDS had before. It is going to be meeting in kitchen, I believe.
Well, you don't believe, you see it on the screen.
Well, I mean, they could still change it the moment I said it.
Meeting hall and kitchen, which is kind of one of those sites that obviously it's really preferential on the teams. It started being very even. You would see people either choose this one or they would obviously take dining on the opposite side. And then it started to drift a little bit more towards meeting, mainly because of Small Tower. Small Tower is a huge investment of utility. It's a huge investment of potentially bodies, and it gives you a lot that you have to hold on to and a lot that you need to be concerned about. Here, you can kind of set up a standard hold. You can lock yourself in on dorms. You can make sure you've got that in a bit of attic space as well. You can kind of go with a lot of parts of your other holds that you don't really have to try and dedicate so much to a sort of suicide spot.
Do you see those repicks coming in, Emmy?
I see repicks.
I'm seeing an Ossa. I'm seeing a Glass.
Are we seeing how many smokes? 4? 6 smokes?
6 smokes. That kind of does give away a sort of idea of a push that BDS is eyeing up for, I think.
If you bring 6 smokes, I think, yeah, it gives more than an idea. They want to try and go for something here, and the idea is a stage take. It's the most common way of going back against this because you sort of just force out the control of tower. If you'll get that stage wall open, you'll put an Ossa shield on 2 stories of that white staircase. You'll probably have it around T3 and then around T2. And then it gives you the control of attic, and it gives you the control of stage. And there it is. The first is in place and play. You turn this into your tower, your territory. You are the king of the castle. And there's no way that they can push you out.
Of course, you can pick up those shields again. It's not like it's place and forget. You can reposition them if there's a need for it, and that most likely will happen as soon as they do start to open up that main wall towards the stage. Flashbangs, grenades, and everything is being tossed into that green hallway. They want to take some quick control, and an air jab will be locking off one of those exits out.
That's it. It covers its way there all the way onto the kitchen door. Laxing's in a very aggressive position, pops the shotgun, finds a second drone, and wants to try and find a fight with the swing behind it, hoping somebody was eager enough, but they're not. BDS is still doing the setup work. They're making sure they have control here because, well, you've still got work to do. That forces Laxing out. It forces them to have to long arm this, which they can do. You assume a shield is around the side of split potentially to give you a bit of range and a bit of stretch. You've got all the smoke canisters. You've got everything that can give you a bit of range. The impact won't destroy the shield when it's in hand. The second won't do the same either. They're trying to find the player in the catch. Foxay hyper aggressive. Do they know where he is? Well, they've at least bought him some time.
Maybe a bit too eager on the impacts there. Shaika spots out one. He's not quite able to connect as he finds the drone first. However, with both of these impacts used, you might give them a false sense of security. There's still a nitro cell close around the corner that they would like to use.
Well, the pressure comes. Foxay, I think, got through a drone hole there by Shaiko, saw the end of him, and now Laxing's holding onto the sandbag position themselves, but on the other side of it, where they can't get through the drone hole themselves. The smoke to smoke was a very well played place there, but Ewers over the top tried to retake it. As I said, that's the worry, that's the stretch. And now that's 2 players having to find a quick hot foot rotate back towards the site itself. Another smoke. Look at the Ossa. They're going wide. Look at the C4. That's going big, but it doesn't have the connection. Rafal, he knew to expect it in a Lems, is watching Virus smoke. That one does! Vertical is able to find Rafal. Lems, nothing they can do about that. They're trying to hold the tight angle. There's an air jab, and there's somehow not a pickup. Josh! The Lems maybe almost lost it there, but holds on 15 seconds. Shaiko, he can't quite get another freebie. He's going to have to get aggro. They've got themselves a split. Ewers has been split in half. Shaiko swung. Laxing swings back. There's a kit. There's a trade out. The kit is in Narnia. there and dreamed. He's going for a rotate. It's air jabbed. He's looking for the connection. They're holding off. He's able to find the first. Can he get there in time? No, he doesn't!
He gets off and instantly finds the kill. BDS, hang on. And that was Shaiko out there with the LMG. And they take the lead in this game. Not quite 2 rounds ahead yet, but they flipped the momentum around. And with this, a tactical timeout to be called.
Well, it's close.
It's getting close.
As close as it was before. And we all watched how that happened here. OXG, they're going to take their timeout. They're going to see if they can try and turn the momentum. BDS still have theirs. They still have an opportunity to stop the game if this round goes against them and keep themselves off of map point. Last time there was a timeout, it went pretty well for OXG.
It definitely did. They were able to find 3 in a row at that moment in time, or at least 2. And with it, Laundry Supply up next. It is a site that they were able to win before. And are looking to do that to at least stem the bleeding, to bring it back to a 5-5. And after that, try and truly come back together and force yourselves to a match point, an actual match point. Not just a map one, but a match. As Amonte is being brought by Rafal, of course, could still be re-picked out, but it's instead of the Ossa. So they want to do something with a shield here.
But what?
But what?
We will see.
We will see. It's probably to get rid of the elbow player, but I mean, there's many different opportunities you could go for here.
There is, if we talk about teams, as we saw before, driving and putting the pressure in with a blitz. This is when we see the other side of that. We're back here.
We're back here for a little bit. Sometimes those things happen. And Oxygen, they just had 45 seconds to talk. They will have a little bit longer now, not with the coach, but just between themselves. And after they just lost 2 in a row, it might be welcome. Of course, BDS, they have no clue yet what the idea would have been that Oxygen wanted to go for. So they'll be left guessing. Guessing and waiting to see what will eventually be the setup, the ID they will play against. And of course, they won't just have the timeout for Laundry, but also for the dorms afterwards, and potentially the meeting if they win both of them and want to go all the way through.
Well, as we get this sorted out and get ourselves back into game, let's have a quick look at the bracket and see how things are shaping up. In just a moment, we'll get a taste of where they might be finding themselves, depending on how this game goes. Unfortunately, that might also not be working. I think they might be a little bit stressed in the back. Okay, well, we can't. Do you remember the bracket off the back of your head?
Well, I believe we had some eliminations of Team 1 and G2s. Those will no longer be there. And that means we will have Liquid going up against DarkZero in semi-final 1. And the winner of this game will be playing up against Astralis or Exit, depending on who will win that game.
There could be an NA versus NA quarters, an NA versus NA semis, and an NA versus NA final.
I don't think the people here really mind for having an NA versus NA matchup.
No, I
they
think
want
they'd
that
be happy
trophy.
with that. I think, yeah, I mean, there's no way to secure it other than just being the best team at the event, and that is definitely a way through. 5-4 is currently where we find ourselves between BDS and OXG. We are about to head back into Laundry. If you're somehow at this point and unaware of how this works on a rehost, even amongst this game or otherwise, you got to play the same site, got to play the same ops. We hadn't really got deep into the round itself, so attacker repick is still viable if they wanted to, because it was a pretty instant fallout, I believe.
Yeah, indeed. So, as you said, you need to play the same ops as you intended to play eventually or have played. Same site, however, not the same setup. That is the thing that you can change if you want to. And it doesn't quite often, but sometimes you do see people place shields in a different position or reinforcements at different places. But too impactful, we will never know because we never saw it being played out in the first place. You know what I do know? We're back into the game.
Oh, there we go. Pressed the button, got back into the game, and got ourselves once again in because you just want this game to play out. Obviously, there's stuff that it's all outside anyone's control at this point, but with the intensity of how this game has built itself up, with the sort of fire that was all across Skyscraper in the opening map. Here you want more of that. You want that to continue all the way to the end. OXG, if we're going to talk about how BDS are holding it or bringing the same stuff, OXG is sort of there as well. Obviously, the Monty is the change here, but there's still that drive. There's a force, and there's a lot of focus down towards blue. Are they going to just pop this with the Con 6 or shoot their way through? Seems like they're waiting for the drones to give them that.
I think they definitely want to put up a little bit of pressure here. Dream is waiting for these drones to come, but as soon as that wall gets opened up, or rather, the Monty's going to start moving in. The smoke canisters, however, are going to be slowing that down just a little bit. And that is basically Rafal's biggest nightmare in this current position. The smoke canisters and the Razor Bloom gadgets that will be used against him. He's going to try and pop some of them by walking in. Now, there it goes. It pops off, takes a little bit of delay, and a second smoke canister in the meantime as well.
Well, as we talked about before, Foxay was massive in this position, and they just kept on trying to cause stresses for them. They're still doing the same, but it's the double down of utility. The smoke behind the Razor Bloom. We just saw a bit of a rotation there from Vertical. He's currently hanging around T1. He's making sure nobody comes onto the backside, but it's generally an entire push here. You can see every silhouette of a BDS player stacked up outside blue. They wanted to try and put some pressure in. They weren't quite able to make it happen. Alems is ready to hot roll a hot car in and see if they can try and remove anything on the corner, but Rafal can't turn his back to the chance of Foxay swinging, which he just keeps doing.
There we go. Shaiko runs in right after the shotgun. He's unable to actually find the kill. Might go down as the Snewers and the Lems that will trade out eventually. It is Shaiko that falls as well. Only 2 players of BDS left. The rush has been averted.
I said they were concerned with the Foxay swing, and he absolutely shows them the moves and maneuvers. Dream is out of there. You aren't catching him cold, and he's going to make sure he gets that locked in. Oh, what do you have to open it? Nothing left. BDS, it's just going to have to be a push and a break onto the site itself. There's still so much utility to remove. There's still so much that you have to pay attention to, and they've got themselves split off, and they have a man advantage. Dream is ready to swing onto this if needed be. The shotgun is a big effect on this corner. The burn of another ADS, 50 seconds is in their favor at least, but not really anything else.
Our Cerreteros are being sent in. They use a form of information as well. You can try and figure out where the players are, and as Vertical takes a small amount of damage, it's still a 2-on-3, 40 seconds. It's plenty of time, and our Cerretero comes around the corner yet again, but won't be caught, but the brief fire of Lems will, as he finds one, but instantly drops afterwards.
Very clever move behind the drone there to get some revenge for when it got dropped. Renshiro gets one, gets two! Renshiro! The toesies is a response to how it suffered them before! And, well, they are once again sitting on map point.
A drone hole deciding that round and potentially deciding this map here as BDS is able to just barely cling on to that round and put themselves onto map point now. And what a spot that is, by the way, because they had no drones. They didn't know. He walked in, got one, knew that knew or saw or anything like that, shot some shots over, and got the round. And now it's 4-6. Now there's 2 rounds in between Oxygen and BDS in BDS's favor. And the laundry will be doubled down upon again.
That's 2 kills through drone holes over like 3 rounds. Obviously, we saw in the first map, OXG pulled out the kill by shooting the toesies from the second story, and well, BDS has doubled down on that gameplay, and it's got them knocking on the door of the second map. This was OXG's pick, but it was not a sort of entirely sided thing. Both of these teams have had mixed success here. You've obviously got Clubhouse as a potential third, where both of these teams are, I believe, over the past 3 months of play, undefeated. So that stat is going to change for at least one of them if we get there.
And that's it. A lot at stake. Not only the semi-finals for either of these 2 teams, but also maybe a bit of that pride of being undefeated on said map. Jump outs being prepared here by Foxay. Wants to go for a bit of a spawn. Big sees someone on the drone, but Renshiro just went off. He misses the opportunity, and an adrenaline surge gets used to put himself back up to 90.
Oh, he'll be kicking himself for that. That was almost potentially defining here. He's back in his place. He at least didn't suffer on the other side of it, but I think Renshiro is the lucky one in that engagement. He's trying to find his way back through. Rafal is once again in the situation of the shield. Another smoke That's 2 very early, just to make sure that they don't move in behind it. Fox is treating himself to a little trip back up to the top window once again. He's hoping BDS has forgotten about it. And in fact, well, they've actually just driven themselves past it. There might still be a rotate later, but remember how powerful he's been before and how he almost was in the previous round.
Shaco sneaking around on the Nook here is looking to find an entry for his team. Hasn't really gotten anything since that rehost. He's looking to find yet another kill. He's been getting some entries on the previous map. He's looking to find one now, and with that Monty coming up close on the elbow here, suddenly it's going to be very hard to close up that wall.
That's it. We've seen him play this pretty well before Dream this time, whether he was just caught a bit unaware. He's just going to hold on. They're trying to bait the fight, but look at the player just sitting on the other side of the soft. There's a take, and there it is. Oh, vertical. Oh, he'll be once again ruined and missing the fact that he's down there. Picked back up by the finger. The pressure of Renshiro is caught out, and there's a trade-off, but it's Newers to get response, and Laxing over the top keeps them in it. The body balance is in their favor. Shaiko might still be able to drive himself through. They've lost the shield, and now they've lost Newers. A 3 versus 3, a minute left on the clock, and a slow and steady creep and a push down from a Nook, who's back once again fighting. Foxay's holding the close angle here. He's hoping somebody gets a little bit bold round on the side of E-Box, but you can see they're sort of taking a moment and weighing it up. 3 grenades, now 1 less. Cooked and held and a little bit too deep. That's huge take from Fox. Dream is getting adventurous. Caught by a drone, but at least says, I'm here and you've got to pay attention to me. All of them suffering a huge amount of damage across the board. It means, well, no more from that other grenade actually removed quite cleanly. Renshiro, the man of the clutch last time we were here. Brede, the man who's clutched so many times before in 20 seconds to see if they can lock it out. The Razor Bloom, it buys them some time. There's a huge take from Brede. Swings onto 1, looking for the fight onto Dream. They've pulled themselves back. Renshiro's trying to find a soft spot to cover. Dream wants to go, as I said before, adventurous. He gets the connection, gets the second!
Dream with a double kill to keep them in it here. He finds 1, finds the planter 2. And Oxygen, they close it up slightly to 5-6. The single map point left for BDS to try and close it off, or 1 more round for Oxygen to win, to push this to OT yet another time.
Oh, it's close. It is close once again. So we find ourselves heading up to dorms in a moment, but every moment is expensive right now for these 2 teams. Huge plays, huge clutches seems to be the MO. And it's just so consistently back and forth.
It is back and forth, and that is the scary part here, because still BDS a single round away from pushing this to a map number 3. And that's what they will be looking for. That's what they will be aiming for, is Oxygen. Well, they will be looking to bring it to OT yet again, to turn the tides. Right there, right then. But another 3 minutes and potentially 45 seconds are between them and making it to OT, or between BDS and making it to a map 3.
10 seconds to go.
Okay, OXG, what's your hold gonna be like up here? Because, well, we only saw 1 taste of it, and then we saw things pulled away. It was a clean BDS approach, but then we've seen OXG drift out a little bit more. As we saw before, Foxay has been that consistent problem. Vertical hasn't quite been able to be the same, but as long as Shaiko isn't, I guess it means somebody's getting them down. Somebody's doing that job between the 2 bodies, and these are 2 bodies that might be able to start clashing and crashing into each other over the small tower shower side.
Let's see who finds the first entry. Foxay takes a small amount of damage, but instantly hops back off, heading back towards the side. Vertical hiding in the small tower. Will this be droned? Renshiro, he's coming in, checks 1, corner checks 2, and now he has been spotted. And now these windows should be watched to prevent him from exiting the small tower building.
Oh, he sees the side of 1, sees the edge of a grenade, survives, and that is all he is doing. We talked about this as being a spot that takes a lot of dedication and utility because, well, you're probably gonna die there, but everything that you take out of the pockets of your opponent is worth it. That's the exchange. Shaiko, he's hoping that camera doesn't switch to life as he keeps driving himself in. He's sort of saying, well, they'll think we'll be over there, so let's be over here. And for that grenade, once again, a second OXG player suffering a lot of shrapnel, but still standing is the most important part.
They know Vertical is still out there. Shaiko is looking to return just slightly, just momentarily towards that small tower, hoping to find a drop in, hoping to find Vertical trying to rotate back towards the side. He's hoping he's been left alone, but it's not really going to be the case as some more pressure is coming up on his window. Here's Rafal opens up the dorms as well.
You can see the buck of Alems trying to work underneath too. They're just forcing a more uncomfortable play space. That grenade doesn't get a connection. They're really trying to throw everything in the kitchen sink, but it seems like OXG is immune to the full damage of it. They are just blocky enough, and Shaiko gets an important take. That is finally Vertical gone, but again, it was a lot of focus on a position away from the site itself. Only now can they really start the drive they wanted to towards the site.
It's mostly a lot of time for 2 minutes. They've been worried about the player into the small tower here, and it leaves only 60 seconds left now for them to open up everything from below or horizontally to start their push from happening. They're looking for an entry. Might have just missed an opportunity there as the skeleton key opens up. There's someone right underneath. Dream takes a lot of damage, but he will survive just barely.
Another OXG player massively scraped, but still alive, and they keep themselves moving. There's a bit of an explosive over the top. Shaiko has to wait at bay, but he is waiting for the green light. A C4 doesn't quite get the lock in, but he's taking a lot of damage. Rafal is trying to stick it. Foxay goes wide. He gets the connection. The kid is cold. The double window gets a response. 3 versus 2. Laxing's taking a lot of damage. Dream gets caught out. And there it is. Renshiro off the board, all down to Alem, seeing if he can keep it in this pre-fired, lost in every which way. Finds 1, finds 2. One more player, but it's Laxing!
We are going to OT on map number 2. After Renshiro just not able to pull up the clutch, he got so close. Just no information on the last member standing. And now, a best of 3 in rounds. As Foxay took out that diffuser first. Alem's 1, 2, just unaware of that last position. It was just a slither of him that was seen as well. And is heating up and spicing up, and 3 more rounds to decide whether a map 3 is on the cards or if it will be OXG.
There's some chants starting. We saw, and there's the ones back. We saw a couple of French flags, and we're hearing a lot of noise.
Well, it's definitely starting to favor OXG indeed.
BDS, 2 rounds separate you from going home. 2 rounds separate you from a 3rd map. OXG, you could be setting yourself up for another NA showdown ahead of the board, and I'm sure people are going to be into that in this room, but we are not there yet. That is twice over 2 maps. OXG have fought themselves back from the precipice of being pushed aside, and we all knew how it went the first time round. Is Oregon going to be a repeat?
That's the big question, an 8-6 in favor of Oxygen. On the previous map, will it be an 8-6 again, or will BDS this time be able to hang on and push this to club? Well, Newers is looking to go for a bit of an aggressive first take here. Drones are starting to come through. He will take them out. A pink from the Prisma is not going to be enough for him to go for a pre-fire. Actually, spots the player, goes for it, but he's not going to be able to connect. Alems is too much of a danger with the LMGE to take the gunfight to.
It's 2 ships basking in the night, and then suddenly the clouds see, and you get a clean shot, but you've already found your movement, and Vertical knows he's not going to risk any more there around that play space. You can see BDS, they're trying to find a loose OXG player. They know that they couldn't quite get the finish on so many of them on the previous round, and they know that was the difference maker when it came down to shoving their way onto the site itself. Steady is the approach here in the hand of the grenade. There's a reveal on a camera, but it doesn't really matter when you're throwing a grenade towards the swing. It's Foxay that suffers, but look at Burt around the backside. He doesn't need it. He sprays towards the Hope. It's a trade out inside. Rafal was the one that got revenge. OXG's going to take that happily and pull themselves back.
Lands off the board, it's a lot of utility and one of those LMGs less to worry about. Shaiko still 1 in pocket though as Brede starting to open up these hatches. They're starting to up the pressure for this take up onto the laundry side. Grenades are rolling in, a lot of utility being used here by BDS, but are they going to be able to find anything? Are they going to be able to weaken the sides is the big question, because these smoke canisters are going to try and keep Shaiko at bay.
OXG, once again playing these early smokes, the holes just to stop the movement, and you can see them communicating, talking and manipulating the space. It's the first time from BDS, we're seeing a take here over onto the Laundry and the Freezer side. They're kind of curious about how it's coming together, but BDS likes to keep their options open, which is why Renshiro is still busy doing some work on the far side, and also it means nobody's going to be able to get a big flank off, but they are the ones with the pressure of time. They're the ones that need to try and put themselves into the site, and there is a huge take. Shaiko swung around, gifted with a head of Newers, and another pop of another bit of time, waiting patiently for that to clear.
The Fuser is at the Laundry stairs. Rafal right in front of him, and Nitro pops, but is not dealing any damage. Trying to keep them at bay as a Flashbang gets tossed in. Laxing takes a small amount of damage. 30 seconds on the clock, it's plenty of time. Do not rush it now, Day. Dream gets the first, a second falls as Rafal pushes through. It's Day that gets taken out, and it's only up to Vertical in a 1v1 situation. Will he get it?
15 seconds, and it's not any of them! Vertical is pushing OXG once again onto map point, and for this time round, you have that pressure of series point.
It is going to be do or die. BDS fans, let yourself be heard because they will need your support right now. It is do or die. If they lose this round, they are going back to France.
A team kill at the worst possible moment, a little bit of a misstep, and a huge chance for OXG to lock it in. BDS, they had their timeout, they had their moment, and there could be no other chance to take it, so take it. Because you've got to take more than just that. 2 rounds now, separate them from the end, only one separates OXG from their future. That's a lot more money, and it's a lot more ahead of them.
45 seconds, in the meantime, a lot less, to talk about the 13 rounds we've had on this map. For Bias to try and get his boys back in the rhythm, back in order, make sure that they push this to a 7-7 and potentially to an 8-7 victory towards Clubhouse. It's a lot to ask, because OXG's definitely been on point here. They've definitely had the resilience to fight back against whatever was being thrown at them by the French side of things. And as the timer runs out, it is now literally do or die for BDS. For Europe, that is, as well. The prep phase has started. Will it be 3 minutes, or will it be another round?
I guess. That's on BDS. They set up here, down in Laundry. Well, if you throw your minds back, they were here a lot. And it was a real mixed bag of success. They had to try and entirely reevaluate the hold to stop OXG, who suffered and learned it even better, and then were rebuffed on the final swing. So they've had an option here. Whether they expected it or not, it's where they met themselves, and look at that. It started the game with this lineup from OXG on the far left of your screens. Is it going to end with it? The Lion on the board, the Blitz in the hand of Foxay. He's hoping he's not here for a long time, but a good time.
That's he's looking to make this quick, and with BDS having some members off sides, it could be a very quick side to be overrun here. As Newers is ready, behind the barrels, has it gone 6-in-hand Dream as well. Foxay with the blitz.
And he's going for the push. The smoke doesn't stop him this time. He's going hard. Rafal and Vertical traded out on the other side of the map above. Vertical's got control of the stairs, but pressure's coming round on the back. The pre-fire and the response from Shaiko, retaking the corner named after him. He's now looking to see if he can get a swing round to Foxay, who's a shield stuck behind a shield and a rock in a hard place, but he needs some support. The grenades start to bounce their way round there. You've got Laxing on the other side. He's trying to keep a bit of control, but the kick cold around the other side of E-Box, it puts them in a dangerous situation. You can see BDS still have that meeting control. Laxing is an important fight, and he's going to see if he can take it, and he doesn't win it. Alems, he's got a little bit more control now, and a huge take there. There's a bite back. Shaiko goes down. Fox over the split of E-Box and down the corridor with the pistol. They have so much time, but they need to be able to keep getting these little nips and tucks and takes away from BDS's defense. The kit recollected. The ping and the drones, making sure there's no lock round on the swing. They're going to take this. A moment of cool, a moment of calm, and a moment to recollect all the intel on the players and positioning. If they can isolate one, well, close is where a shield does best. And, well, that's why he's going a bit further away around. Round on the rotate, caught by a drone. Doesn't want to stay here too long because what's that? It's a blitz, and it's a blitz that's close. He's dancing either side. Rafal does a lot more damage back to him, though, and we're now back towards E-Box's stalemate in a very tricky situation for BDS.
There is not much utility left on the side of BDS, but it might be enough. It is a smoke canister. It's only up to Fox A. All he needs is a single bullet or a single tick. He's going for a bit of a rush. All he needs to do is hit the foot, hit the shoulder, hit the head, whatever it is. BDS push this all the way to 15.
In the words of Ace of Pyrite, we're going all the way, Des. It is round 15. OXG versus BDS. The stress and the stretch and the timeout has made a connection. No more stops. If it started off as groups and down to best of ones, and then it started off as the best of one you have in front of you because of the loss on the first, it is just one round.
One round. Do or die. Either Oxygen goes to the semifinals here right now, or BDS pushes us to Clubhouse to make the final decision. And we got quite close. Oxygen, they had an opportunity there. They went for a rush, but unfortunately for them, BDS was able to stop that from happening. But now BDS is back onto the attack. They need to crack the code one last time. Whereas Oxygen is putting up that puzzle for them, knowing the solution, but not handing it out.
So, we were here before as well. Meeting was that only single play, and it was around the mid-time of OXG's holds, and it was a BDS take, but with a very different take, and I think they're expecting a different hold this time. Gone is the Yossa, gone is the 6 smokes, now they have control. They have that Nomad, they have that Lion, and they have the idea that, well, OXG's gonna go for an explore, Oxygen's gonna fill the room as their name gives the idea of, and make every space dangerous like that. Fox A slips his way out of there, and Vertical suffers 2 more scrapes. But when did we see this before? 2 rounds ago. How did it end? Oxygen.
Will it end that way again? 2 minutes 30 on that clock. There is going to be that control. You said it before, they want to stop Oxygen from moving around, put those air jabs up, use those E1Ds as soon as they try and locate some of these members on the side of Oxygen to isolate them, to take them down, to get these entries for BDS. But will they be able to succeed? It's always that big question. Will the first entry go their way?
Holding and waiting just for somebody to give an inch, to take a mile, and it's Vertical that takes the first step and stretch. Shaiko gone. Removed from the board alongside that LMG, alongside those grenades that were left, leaving Alems to have 2. It's 1 off the board, but it's still a potential important loss. The man advantage is theirs. They're a team that knows how to build around that, and as the pressure still starts to come across the top, you got to remember where the site is, and that is far from sight currently for BDS.
Yeah, that's what I'm worrying about right now as well. They're opening up that master bedroom. They're making sure they can head into the games, but we are in meeting. We are in the kitchen. Are they having a misread here on a very important round? It's a big question to ask. Another E1D pops. There's only 80 seconds left on the clock. Alems gets a little bit of a ping right below him. They know there is roamers around. They need to find them first, though.
That's it, they're stacked up on the door here. They want to get control of White Stairs, and over dorms, as we said, it's a vertical hold. While you'll see this site more than others, just misses the player. Vertical, he's able to slip his way down, and he can now cause problems inside the site. A minute left, they hand over the verticality and try and make it a little bit worse for Where Dream. He goes almost down, but Rafal is the one that hits the boards. The heavy sledgehammer starts to make its work across, and they've got to try and recollect the player who's drifted himself a bit wider. There's still loose threads, there's still problems, and these are things that BDS is kind of having a bigger problem with. As long as they have control of Freezer, they can't get true control of Zulu. They just got to go for this. A bit of aggression, a bit of a swing, 30 seconds, BDS, and another E1D. The drop is Verticals to take. Fed into his hungry waiting arms, looks for 1 more to feed in the kitchen, but with Newers on the swing, and less than 20 seconds, it's Newers! The new blood, the new boy, the second! But it's Verticals to lock in! Renshiro is all that separates EU and going home! He gets 1, but they are gone! OXG take it!
They sent EU home! Again, they were on the back foot at the start of the match. Again, they were able to push it to
it, Oxygen is everybody loves. And players that move in and move on.
They move in, they move on, they go to the semi-finals, they live to fight here to potentially win the title, to potentially become the champion. And they definitely have the crowd behind them here. But so does any NA team.
I mean, understandably, commiserations BDS, and from us, commiserations EU. No more is there an opportunity for this to be ours. Well, all right, call me an NA fan for the rest of it. We'll throw it to a break before we're back with the desk to break that down.
Hello and welcome everybody to our brand new podcast.
He's scratching. Tim had a great name for them if they did give it away yesterday.
Looking for throw.
Even if we're a bit afraid of you, we're not going to lose to you, that's for sure. So bring your horsepowers, you know.
What are all those medals behind you?
I saw that just casually there.
It's right
just,
here.
oh, no, it's a Mexico Major Shield.
It is.
Europe's last hope in this major is gone. Hey! Oxygen are your semi-finalists, and I am joined by the one and only Foxette right now. Number one, you must be absolutely delighted. Number two, you took down a really tough team there with some really strong players, and you did it in 2 maps.
I guess so. Everyone that knows me knows how I feel about BDS, but you know, you never want to kick a team when they're down, so I'll just keep that to, like, you know, the streams.
Woo! This is going to be a spicy interview. I can feel it already. Before we go any further, like, that's probably the loudest we've heard the crowd here so far today. How has it been feeling having all of these? Come on, one more time. You may as well, right? How does that make you feel?
Nah, it's kind of crazy. It's almost like everyone's here for us, you know?
He says that you are. He says they are. Let's talk about newers, right? Phenomenal. Young talent, first time on an international stage, has been delivering for you so well. I mean, first, just give me your thoughts on how he's performing.
I mean, you guys saw what we did with Kino and Yogg, right? Like, we don't just pick up players that are new for no reason. Like, this guy's crazy. Like, we knew that if we put the time in with this guy, he's going to be one of the nastiest entries in the game. So, you know, we're just giving him the fundamentals, and we're just letting him rock.
Is it true that you guys scrimmed against him and just thought, nah, I don't want this, so let's pick him up? Is that how it happened?
Yeah, we thought he was cheating. The guy was so good. And look at him now.
You and Laxing have just been a dream duo for quite some time now. What is it that's so magic about you two playing together?
I mean, I don't want to be conceited or anything, but you know, we're both very fashionable, good looking, good leaders. You know, I mean,
it's all true.
We have a family over here, so we build a really good team with a really, you know, big heart. So at the end of the day, you're always getting good fundamentals on our team. So.
Come on, let's get this fist bumping. There it is. Absolutely, come on in.
I'm just saying one thing. I love the fans here. You guys are great. I've missed you. And NA on top, baby!
So much NA love here, and you can't really blame these guys. To anybody who's watching at home right now who maybe isn't right here in this audience who says, Oxygen can't win this major, what do you say to him?
Just watch.
We'll leave it there. Foxer, congratulations. Congratulations to your entire team. Best of luck in the rest of this tournament. Back to you on the desk, Doa.
All right, thanks, Ian. Wow, how about that? All right, some strong words from Fox and honestly the rest of Oxygen, but why not after a performance like that? One of the best series I think we've seen. Well, that was the best series we've seen. Possibly this week, definitely today. It was good, but it had to hurt a little.
There's tears coming out of my eyes right now. EU is gone. I bow down to NA supremacy. I wanted that to go to a map 3, but only because it was so entertaining, and I think the best team won overall. That was like watching two heavyweight boxers just taking blows at each other over and over again, round and round again. You know, there was, even in this second map here, there weren't many times that a team got a significant lead. They were just constantly toing and froing, going at each other, clutches, you know, big plays. And in the end, as I say, I do believe the right team won. I do believe the better team won, even if it does mean my home region is now out.
I mean, I think it was a very close series, as you said, and despite what, you know, Fox might think of his opponents on the other side of the stage, I thought BDS still played phenomenally here. They can definitely be, I mean, I'm sure they won't be happy about it, but I think they should be proud of the play that they showed off today. Overall, we saw BDS and G2 earlier for Europe, I think, put up really strong games. It's just right now, NA is actually on top. We've got so many good teams right now at the very highest level, and they're all showing up right here in the home major in Charlotte, North Carolina. So it's been fantastic to see.
There's going to be an NA team in the grand final of this major.
That's true.
It's guaranteed.
Guaranteed, 100%.
That's true, because our next one of our semifinals tomorrow is going to be Oxygen versus the winner of our next series. We'll get to that in a little bit, but man, I just feel so lucky because we do have a grand finals, obviously, on Sunday, but I feel like we've already gotten 2 grand finals worth matches today, you know?
I mean, that shows you how good things are at the top, right? Not just in North America, but across the world. Teams in Latin America, in Brazil, in Europe as well, and APAC. I mean, they're getting there. We'll have an APAC team in the finals one day, I believe it. But so far, this game, 8-7. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. Shaiko, I don't think those are fraud numbers. Even though his team lost, he put up a stellar performance, 17-11. You don't see that often.
And also, look at that kill spread between OXG. If you want to say, are they a consistent team? Are they all pulling their weight? They're all between 1 kill of each other. 15 rounds, 12, 11 kills each. Sensational team performance for them to find a way to win.
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of what we were talking about going into this one, is that one of the greatest strengths of OXG is that they not only have that phenomenal team play, but whenever anyone goes down, anyone else on the team is equally able to clutch it out if they really, really need to. And we saw that time and time again, didn't we?
We did, and it's good to see Dream up there at technically the top of the scoreboard. I know they were all basically tied, but Dream has been a player that I think has kind of stepped back and let the rest of the players on that team be more of the flashy, frag-heavy players. He has been, I think, negative so far in the NAL, but he can frag just like the rest of them. He can have those tight clutches. He can have those really important rounds where he wins it for his entire team. So nice to see Dream up there on the top of the scoreboard with the rest of his squad. Oxygen, baby, they're looking so good.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a look at some replays from that last map. There was, honestly, we could have just shown you the entire game again, and it would have been worth, right? But we had to pick a couple rounds. So we did pick round 10 for one of those, and this wasn't an OXG highlight per se, but honestly, like, BDS deserves a lot of credit, don't they?
Yeah, do you know what? It's a highlight of just pure instinctful FPS. The first play here is actually a Lem, so he sets the Flores Retiro drone off and then doesn't ever explode it. Just follows it in, so he lets go of the drone here, follows it in, player shoots the drone, doesn't expect the man, gets the kill. Does make a slight misplay by pushing through for more kills. We'll ignore that. But what you're about to see here, Siege is about strategy, but it is also about pure instinct.
Ouch.
Now, EU might be going home, but that is potentially the play of the tournament, just from instinctful, he's flicked a drone hole.
Yeah. Who does that?
Who does that?
Yeah, and I mean, that was a particularly crazy one from BDS to pop off there. This is another one, though, that actually went the other way. We had to get an OXG highlight in here, too. And talking about the big man Dream, he's the one that really does make it happen when he has to. They're planting, he's in the right position, goes for the swing. This is not an easy gunfight with the SMG-11, but boom, boom, 2 heads in a row. That is insane gunplay coming out from him, and yeah, that's what happens.
Absolutely, yeah, and it happened over and over and over again. Our next round that we're going to take a look at is going to be round 11. And speaking of Dream,
I think we saw that.
This was, oh, did we just see that?
That was
Oh, okay,
round
all
11. There we go.
I'm definitely paying attention. It's been a long day, everybody. But you know what? That was an amazing series, right? We're going to move things along because the thing is, we've got one more best of 3 yet to go. Before we get there, though, final thoughts on that awesome, I mean, I kind of wish we would have seen 3 maps. It was only 2, might as well have been.
Do you know what? I'm going to get it out now because obviously I said BDS were going to win. I thought you would do better. I think our boys showed a valiant effort between G2 and BDS.
Sure. Yeah.
But ultimately, we do bow down to NA supremacy.
Sounds good to me.
To sum it up nicely about EU, if we could take a moment, I think the perfect way to put it is...
Oh my goodness. Photoshop that however you want, everyone out there. Just so you know, you got a template now. Just take it. You know what I mean. Well, that's going to do it for our 3rd match, which means we're only moments away from our 4th and final match of the quarterfinals here at the Rainbow Six Siege Charlotte Major. It is going to be Astralis taking on Xset, an NA battle for supremacy to see who goes to the semis to take on Oxygen. Oh man, we've been waiting for this one all day. It's going to be good. Don't go anywhere. The Major returns in just a few.